Let the dancing begin. I didn't see that coming.
A classic, and at the same time, progressive.
we have some brand new teams as well in the season. Tell me about every single one of them in depth. I want a full thesis analysis on my desk by morning, please.
So what I'll do instead is instead of doxing them, Ravi, is I'll give everyone on the broadcast the names of some teams weren't here last split. Some were here in splits past. When you think of like teams like Just Randoms, but for the rest, there are some new faces here. We got teams like Scouting for Pro Scene, University of California, Irvine, Maryville Black, who definitely not their first time around, Blacklist, AOE, Brady, and also Will's Kitten. Not really sure about the whole connection there, but yeah, AOE. AOE teams.
It could definitely be back and forth. I'm assuming Will has gotten back into.
Is it Chili Walks Kitten?
I was thinking it probably isn't, but like, you know what, brand new team, which honestly, you're gonna be too sure, bro. With how much Will is doing, I'm not even sure he's actually casting right now. It's like, bro, he's doing so much more. But Will's an enigma, but we're not here to break him down, right? We're here to break down the teams going into tonight beatdown, which that being right off the top of the head, a brand new team, that being AOE, going up against ISU, our previous champion for the UPS Spring Split. So let's start it all off. Jolly, you know ISU. You can spell those 3 letters. Talk to me a bit about it.
I do. I know almost all of my letters, and U is right where it ends. So it's actually a really good thing that we didn't get into whatever's beyond that. I don't know. But yes, ISU has been really heavy in the scene recently, kind of taking over a lot of these really strong teams like Maryville that we've seen in the past do very well. You see Irvine, I love seeing them up there because when I first started this a few years ago, they were one of the top tier teams and have kind of resurfaced now after a little while. So a very, very exciting team, a great group of players here today. I just recently actually got to cast this team in one of the EFU show matches that we occasionally do. So I got a chance to kind of talk with them up close and personal, as well as talking with Pater, the coach for the team as well, who's just so incredibly confident. We had an interview with him, and my goodness, even going into Maryville, which was that show match that we had, no hesitance, no sweat on that guy's forehead. He's very confident in this team and very, very happy with the amount of work that he has put in and what they're focusing on.
I got to speak from my experience as well as talking to Peter almost throughout the previous season, right? You know, this guy has a game plan going into every single match. He knows his team. He knows his matchups. And besides being just all-around swell guy, the way he works around and works with his team to not only draft but play their compositions, it almost scares me sometimes. Like, what can't this team do? But speaking of preparation, beatdown, I believe as of right now, ISU might not be the most prepped going to today.
The thing with that is, after winning UPL just last week, they decided they were going to take a little bit of a break since it's been about a week, no scrim, no practice so far. So they're not going to be the freshest going into tonight. And I think that's going to be a big thing for AOE Brady, who, because of course, hey, welcome to the UPL. You're going to face last splits champions. And I mean, someone had to do it. So that is already a nice plus in AOE's camp category, however you'll put it. The other thing worth noting too, they do have 2 very notable players in the amateur scene. One, of course, Robert Bobbert, the mercenary himself, will just play on any team for whoever. But of course, we have another one who fits the bill, and that is Vex, longtime player in the amateur scene as well, is going to be playing that AD carry role. And you got to imagine a newer team like AOE Brady are going to play to those 2 members, because especially with Robbie Bob's case, no matter what team he's on, no matter how not great they might be doing, man always looks good.
I can't remember a single moment of second of time that he has not been absolutely immaculate in his role beatdown. So I am consistently afraid for any relationship that I get into, the Robert Bobbert might come and just snatch her away, unfortunately. But that's all besides the point, right? Because like you mentioned, on the other end for ISU, previous split champions, and even coming second, I believe, with C-Law too. These guys are amazing, but I'm not, I won't go into it. I won't sit up from an analyst. I want to let y'all talk about it. So, Jolly, bring in a little bit about ISU for me, because they're just about the Jack who is really of all trades.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even looking at the roster, just kind of reviewing the roster that I just saw with a successful best of 3 going into Maryville, mind you, I can't really pick a player here that I'm like, oh man, you got to have eyes on them. Though I do have to say that supports don't get a ton of focus, a ton of love. And I do have to say that Nausicaa is an exceptional bottom laner. So that is going to be a little bit of a struggle, that you've got kind of that army of two on the other side in AOE, as you were talking about there with Vex, Robbie Bob, a little bit towards the mid-bottom side of the field. So now I think that for certain this time, ISU, based on Hyper's hyper aggression and then Drew Dozer's just absolute power in the mid lane, that they're probably going to focus a little bit more towards the mid top side and just kind of allow that army of two do their thing down below, but ensure that they're not losing the entire map by focusing towards the top.
Yeah. And you've seen it too about how with the way that ISU is able to just twist and turn with what they want to do, but like you into the competition, but like you mentioned there, Charlie, right? Going into today, like definitely we can focus a lot more on the top side focus, considering how Hyper has been. I find has been really alternating, more so just about how he plays the map. Because as recently, you saw before, we were so used to him seeing odd picks like the Graves, like the Nidalee, right? Super farm heavy type champions, and allotting for a lot of the resources to be put onto him because he was meant to be the carry. But as of late, I've seen him play more to his teams, for his side lanes, making sure to focus on much more macro objectives and putting forward on calls, right? So I have to wonder and really think about, right? Like who's making the calls on the team, who's putting stuff together, because right now, like ISU, although they may be able to break, there's still genuinely a team to fear to beat down. But that. What do you find might be some priority picks, right? Going in for ISU, maybe, or sorry, actually before that, for AOE Brady, in fact, especially considering Robert Roberts' champion pool is quite large. I believe it's from here to here.
And I think we'd have to like connect our arms a little bit just to make it longer across the screen to really accurately depict. Yeah, that's a little bit more, Jolly. We're gonna need your arms up too.
I gotta do fly. All right.
Look at that synergy. First time working together. It's just so simple. I think that's a more accurate representation of Robbie Bob's champion pool there. But realistically, I think it's a little side dependent there. You could give Robbie Bob that counter pick in the mid lane. Absolutely an option if you are in the mid side. You got to imagine that, of course, you're going to secure a power pick for Vex on the bottom lane as well. Still a lot of really powerful meta bot laners. You think Kaisa, you think Caitlyn in some situations. Of course, there's Xayah, Tristana. There's a lot of really powerful picks available, and I think those are the things they probably want to secure for themselves if they are trying to play through that mid and bot lane.
Mm-hmm. And we've also seen that, and we've seen that they're not afraid to get weird either when they bring up picks like the Morgana or the Sejuani. I remember we saw a couple times they decided to they're like, "Yo, Sedge top, deal with that how you may," which becomes
solo killed once too.
An absolute phenomenal time. Right now, the other end, like we said before, ISU is Jolly. There's also no, I would say, stranger to picking up strange picks on the side and just throw them on the board and see how teams deal with them.
Yeah, they've been picking up the Morgana jungle. So Hyper has been running the Morgana jungle. Granted, I will say in the couple of games that I've seen, it has not gone as well as they would hope. Though, honestly, my thought behind that is rather just the composition. It's not that Hyper plays it poorly, but does stick. You've got a lot of just these heavy carries. Tristana did just get a little bit of a nerf. I think what was that, yesterday or the day before? But I mean, barely to the point where she is still probably going to be very, very prevalent. So we saw a lot of fun stuff as well, though. We had a Yone Yumi bottom lane in that last best of 3. So Jinx, Bard. I mean, this and again, Nausicaa is just so exceptional that they can pull whatever they want really into this bottom lane. And so a lot of these heavy pushers like the Bard, like the Alistar, who also got a little bit of a nerf, but still, I'm assuming just for that placement, positioning, utility is going to be pretty effective. So, I mean, both of these teams are going to pull out whatever they can. I do think the ISU is going to be a little bit more spicy about it.
So, looking at you first here, Jolly, I want to know your predictions, and I want to know what you're going to bring out. The number and question I ask every single week, beat down. Who is it going to be? Who would you have favoring? Could be 9-0, 14-11, or 7 to 965. Give me your predictions and fast. Let's see it.
I mean, for me, do we need another? There's a best of 3, right?
There's a best of 3?
Best of 3. I mean, I want to see a 2-1, but I have a feeling that ISU is going to take this one.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at as well. I 3 games, clasping my hands, praying for it. But yeah, I'm really confident. A week off, I don't think is going to matter too much for a team like ISU. Robbie, you put it really well. They play so well together. They played for so long together. It's not going to, I don't think a week's going to change that.
All right, man. You didn't give me numbers, so it sucks for you. So I'll go first. Because my homework will be 2-0 ISU.
Wait, I said 2-0. Hello?
Or you did not.
Is that
I
headset on?
said 2-1.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't remember hearing that. It doesn't
No,
matter,
I didn't
because
hear- You
you're
said
a
2-1.
developer.
I
You
said
said
what
you
you
want
said.
free
I
games.
said I wanted
We're gonna
free
go
games.
ahead and order
What I
like
think is
Mad
happening.
Magical and
Whoa.
Chilling Walk that take us into game number 1 for the night. Let's get it, gentlemen.
Buddy, it's good to be back here for the UPL. It is the spring season, and once again, myself, Bad Magical, and I'm joined again by Chilling Walk. It has been a while since you and I got a cast together, and I guess April Fool's is like a proper day for it since we're both fools.
You know, I think both of us are probably the best two people that could be on the mic because we make a lot of jokes on the cast. We make a lot of references to weird things, man. But I'm excited to be back on the mic with you, Eminem. You know, as I like to say, because it's mad magical. That's why it's April Fool's. So hopefully we get some of Mom's spaghetti here tonight because I'm excited to see how ISU is doing off of their little win from the grand finals last week, and also see how ASU is going to be doing because we got some old names coming on this roster.
Well, Mom Spaghetti, it is ready. That is for sure. They have to be ready as we get ready for the spring split. And we got to talk about the two teams. So you already kind of mentioned ISU going up against AOE, I believe is what their name is. I'm trying to remember if it was like, because I think there's 2 rosters for them. There it is. So the producer said it and I forgot it already. But anyways, we got to talk about the teams themselves. AOE Brady. Like Tom Brady.
Like the Brady bunch, you know?
Like the Brady bunch.
Like the Brady bunch. That's what they are.
Well, actually, that is a good segue into talking about them because you look at this team, and this team is kind of a mishmash of all over the place. You have a couple elements of Purdue University that has been a team that's been kind of surprising a lot of people, but you also have like George Mason with Robbie Baum coming in, SkyTech coming in from, University of Western Ontario. This is all over the place, putting them into one organization.
I mean, at that point, you might as well call them the Brady Bunch, right, Alex? Like, goddamn, you got a lot of different names coming in from all these different teams. Of course, you got Draxler, who's subbing it tonight over Clam as well, who is been working for a multitude of teams, and of course, and Solidified, who has been a part of the amateur scene for quite a while. This is legit the Brady Bunch of this new spring season of Upsurge Premier League. Honestly, I'm excited to see how well they kick off tonight because tonight they're kicking off against ISU, of course, reigning champions coming in, a team that has been notorious for playing whatever the frickin' styles they want to play, Alex. They're down to play full-on kike bat. They're down to play team fights. They're down to draft whatever the heck they want. And it's credits to their coach, Pater, who has handpicked a lot of these players from the fall semester going to the spring semester. And this team I'm surprised all these players are just down for it.
Exactly, and this is something that I have loved and respected with Illinois State University, is that they do whatever they want. What was it, the first game that we got to cast them all the way back in November, where they were the first team to play Yone, and no other team had even touched him, and they're like, Yone, let's go, and they won with it, and we were popping off from that just because it's a team. I love teams like that don't really care exactly what the meta is. They can play the meta if need be, but they'll still play their own style. And looking at Drew Dozer in that mid lane, this is a player with an ocean for champion pool.
Honestly, this is why ISU is so fun to watch. Of course, like when we look at the players and like the way they like to play individually, right? Hyper, of course, is like the early game kind of coin flippy jungler, but when he pops off, he like hard pops off. Disconnector, of course, is notorious to being a late game damage dealing threat, and Drew Dozer has always been favoring 2v2s in the mid lane. But the beauty is that ISU is down to draft whatever the heck Pater tells them to draft, and that is something that I credit ISU a lot. Like what Pater said, man, the identity of this team is having no identity. And that's why last week Revival kind of got caught off guard 100%.
I feel like that's why ISU have been able to find a lot of their victories, especially in a lot of their upsets, is that nobody expects what they're able to provide, what they're able to do. But here, it is going to be a bit difficult for them, right? So last week, they were able to win the winter split of the UPL, but they decided they wanted to take a 2-week break off. So they haven't been scrimming and playing since then. And now, being thrown back into it here for the first week of the spring split, they haven't really had that time to really be able to figure out how they want to play into a team like AOE Brady, which could give AOE that advantage.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, is definitely much needed, right? They just played their finals of the Collegiate Northern Conference against Maryville Unfortunately, lost 1-3 against him, but it's a tough match, man. You're playing against Marvel University, the #1 seed in North Conference, and of course the reigning champions in Collegiate. And they definitely took one game, much needed break. We'll just have to see how well they come back in when it just comes to this game. But for AOE, man, I think if you want to try and step up and kind of show yourselves off, this is the time to do so. ISU 1 is the champions. 2, ISU's on a break, and they're kind of on a cooldown. And for you guys are fresh off the boat. You guys are ready to kind of just show up and impress.
Exactly.
And I want to see how well they do. The big worry, though, of course, Alex, is Draxler, who is their coach, having to fill in tonight as a jungler, as part of their squad. So that is the one thing I'm a little bit worried about, but maybe a little bit cheating too, because it's like the coach is like, hey, yo, I'm the player, I'm the jungler. Y'all listen to me, okay? I want you to do this, 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 and this, and this. And then what happens if the team messes up? That's one thing I'm a little bit worried about. It creates a lot of volatility.
I mean, it could also be like back when we were playing in our Caster Showdown, where I was sent top lane, even though I don't really play top lane. But I could play any champion, and you guys were just like, you were literally just drafting like, Alex, what do you play? I'm like, I don't care. You draft whatever, and I'll play it.
You're like, all right, cool.
What was the one scrim where we grabbed Malphite for me, and I just clapped to the point where everyone had to ban that permanent? Like, it was permanently banned from me.
Yeah,
we
clapped we clapped the producers. We clapped if you guys are part of the North American amateur scene, you guys will recognize some of these names. We clapped Sam Price. We clapped Elton XT Mock. We clapped Kyler K. Tad to handle as well. We clapped a lot of names, and it was honestly exciting. But we have to take a look at this pick and ban right now, because ISU did lock in that Gangplank for ShamWow. Notoriously been playing this one as well. Surprised they did. Maybe it's a read of why Solidified likes playing these tanks on the top side. They're actually already down. They're not looking to pick up the counter, picking the top lane. They're just like, you know what? Let's pick the Gangplank. We'll take the handshake. You get to farm up, but we'll also get a beefy tank on the top side.
Well, and this is kind of what I was mentioning, the fact of how I was able to play in the Caster Showdown, because you have Draxler filling in here in jungle. And as a coach, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of different things that he's able to play. It doesn't really matter what they grab for him. He could just grab it. Udyr being one of the easier ones, but they could always just grab Volibear, something that's been really resurging in priority in this current meta. Thresh is a pick that I'm not too surprised to see whenever it's not banned. Even on 11-7, we gotta mention that. We're on 11-7, but most of the nerfs that came to a lot of these meta champions, except for the one on Rel that you and I had discussed, are pretty negligible. Those ones are, it's like, I doubt they're gonna take anything except for maybe Rel out of the meta.
And it's always crazy too, because we look at all the champions that were in the meta, Alistar, Leona, Rel, a lot of these engaged supports. Thresh is probably the only champion that counters them in a blind situation. That's why we see Thresh being blind picked in this situation right now. ISU, of course, is going to pick up Bar for Mr. Nusk himself, one of his notorious one tricks that I'm excited to go for. And ISU, I think, already showing their hands, immediately showing their hands with the Ezreal being hovered right now, that, you guys are picking some sort of hard engage with Sion. Thresh isn't the best champion to back up that Sion, Like, once Sion goes in, Thresh can, he has to walk himself and maybe land a hook, but if he doesn't land that hook, he's nowhere going to be close. And you look at ISU, man, this is a full-on, we are kiting ourselves away from all of you guys. We got poke from Ezreal, we got barrels, and terrain control from Gangplank, and if we need to counter-engage or get the heck out of dodge, we got a magical journey like Aladdin here. But AOE, I kind of like this answer. They're picking the Sivir so that even if Skytech is unable to get in, Sivir will just bum rush everyone else to speed run them through.
That's why I kind of was looking at this pick too, and I was even thinking maybe what they go for is like a Jinx or an Aphelios, the typical matchups that you put with a Thresh, more just to be able to have like that safety. So it's like you're not worrying about getting kited back, but Sivir is pretty much saying, nah, we don't care if you can kite back. We're running right towards your back line.
That's why I like Sivir too. It's also an old counter to Ezreal, because you know why? All Sivir does is she just pushes and clears the wave. What the heck does Ezreal does not have, Alex? He don't got wave clear.
Oh man,
really? Yeah, he don't got wave clear. I don't know if you noticed, but Mystic Shock only hits one thing. His Arcane Shift only hits one thing, and it's a 25-second cooldown. His W legit does nothing against minions. If the bot side gets pushed in, and if Vex and Skytech are just taking plates left and right, ISU is going to have a very hard time answering this little early game from the bottom side of AOE Brady.
But you know what's really surprising here, Will, is we have not seen any jungle focus. I mean, just in the bans a little bit, but I was expecting to see a lot more of that coming into the second part. We're seeing mid lane as opposed to the jungle. Nidalee still up. Finally, there's a Graves band away.
Yeah.
But Lilia, Nidalee, those are the options that I'm kind of seeing that have been left open.
You know, that's actually a smart observation, Alex. But we look at Hyper in his champion pool. You know, he doesn't really play a lot of Lilia. He doesn't really play a lot of Nidalee. He's more of the Olaf. He's more the Lee Sin. He's notorious for his Rengar. Like, he is usually an AD jungler on ISU's side, and he's mainly a champion a player who picks champions that set up that early game for themselves. And knowing that AOE is on that red side, when they can set up that conflict for themselves, and knowing that Draxler is a coach and he's subbing in, he of course wants to put himself in the best matchup possible. I mean, if I'm AOE, that's what I would do against Illinois State, and make sure that your early game is kind of covered up by getting that counter pick jungle matchup.
So it's going to be Orianna, Twisted Fate, or do they grab the jungle here? That's my question for AOE right now. I feel like you want to
lane, man.
You want to pick mid lane as opposed to going for jungle.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but
Or
Lilia.
or not. All right.
So it gives a little bit more of that team fight capabilities of being able to dive back in. And you talked about the kite back potential of ISU. Lilia is great for that because if she's able to get her passive onto multiple members, Lilting a Lullaby, fall back in, boom, they dive everyone. You can't kite away when you're all asleep.
Yeah, let me just grab a 16-pound Steve Kangas bowling ball ahead real quick and then, toss it down the damn lane, you know? That's basically what Drax is trying to do when it comes to his composition. But we look at ISU. Yo, Kha'Zix is been a hot pickup for quite a while. It's off of
that's
Cyber.
usually Cyber who
It's usually
plays this.
Cyber's champion. But this is what I say, man. I think Hyper, of course, has a knack for 80 champions. He has a knack for putting himself in a winning position. He also is, there's a reason why we call him somewhat of a coin flip player. This is like the perfect coin flip champion for himself in this game because we look at the Brady bunch of AOE. They got 3 squishy targets on that side.
Is that Trudozer playing Gangplank? I know that Set can go mid lane, but the reason why I say this is Set is amazing into Scion.
Double flex.
He absolutely crushes Scion in lane.
It's a double flex, man. This is why ISU is so fun to look at when they draft. They are down to flex whatever, and Drudorz is down to play whatever they want in mid lane. But you know what works in both lanes, bro?
Lucian.
It's that Lucian.
It works. Lucian, and they have Lilia too, so it works really well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is where ISU actually made this is where we kind of highlight Kha'Zix and Set together on the blue side, right? These two champions are designed to go in. They're designed to kind of get up there and get up close and personal. They didn't kind of stick to their plan of, let's just keep on kiting back. No worries. Let's just keep on throwing projectiles at AoE to make sure that they don't pull the trigger. But then for ISU, they kind of flip the script, and that's what allows AoE to kind of stick to their guns. And you know what? We'll just pick a mid-range champion that can do kind of a little bit of both because, now you've given 2 champions that allows that Lucian to kind of function in and of itself. So that's why I'm a little bit worried for ISU now, especially with this little pivot on the back end. If it wins on the early game, Hyper, of course, can easily pop off. But the way this game goes, man, Sivir and Lucian will just start out DPSing a lot of these fights here as long as they don't run into any of these barrels from ShamWow. And keep in mind, On the Hunt nullifies that game plan ultimate to a T. It does nothing for the squad as long as everyone's able to move out of the damn way. I don't know, man. I like Brady's comp.
My other issue with ISU's comp is where is your magic damage coming from? Sure,
that's true.
You can make the argument Ezreal Bard to a degree are going to be able to provide that, but it's just not enough, especially if you're trying to get into that mid to late game that AOE Brady, there we go, I can speak, that AOE Brady have drafted for themselves.
Speaking of our casters showdown scrims, maybe Illinois State pulls a Chilling Walk and they go AP Ezreal mid. We'll see what happens though.
I'd be down for that.
But the thing is, I will say
even AP Ezreal bot lane. You know what?
AP Ezreal, I would say AP Ezreal with the new items is not good. Back then, Hextech Gunblade was like, it was an insane first item spike for Ezreal.
You know how many
AP
times
Ezreal?
I try to troll with my build paths, and I'm like, I'ma get Hextech going. Every time.
Gunblade was the best AP. Like, if you're an 80 champion and you want to go AP, Gunblade was like the best item, man.
I mean, besides Omrecker, of course, because that's the best item in the whole game.
Well,
but,
Omrecker is dead, so,
So is Gunblade, so don't give me this!
Gunblade was a great item. Gunblade was it was the most goal efficient item.
Did it have a 100% win rate? I don't
It don't
think so.
matter. It was the most gold efficient item there is, bro. How are you gonna compete to that?
100% one way. That's how. But either way, we're getting ready for our first game of the spring split of UPL. And this is definitely going to be some interesting compositions drafted by both sides. I'm really curious to see Draxler if he's opting for the Predator build path on Lilia, or sometimes we'll see when you have Lilia as your AP damage source is that Dark Harvest build path that occasionally comes in when you're trying to rely on her more as the AP threat.
It's a little bit tough, man. I think right now, if you're just kind of looking at the way this game's going to go, I personally would actually prefer Dark Harvest. I don't think you need to pick Predator for an early game engine for yourselves, and you don't really need to outrun them anymore, knowing that you got Vex with that on the hunt for the rest of your squad, and knowing that ISU has picked a Kha'Zix and a set that wants to go in. You know, you're not incentivized to bum rush them all the way through. You're actually just down to just sit back and kind of zone them out. You know, when it comes to these neutral objectives. So I actually would prefer Dark Harvest for Draxler if he wants to pick that up.
And that's the reason why I was bringing it up. It's just one of those things with Lilia. I like champions that are able to adapt with their build paths, with their keystone runes as well, dependent on the matchup as well as their own team's composition. It's not a static thing where you have to go for this one playstyle and that's it.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to see what AOE Brady can bring to the table. Fun fact though, Robbie Bob putting games in Illusion. I don't think we've seen him actually put a lot of games on Illusion, even when he was playing with Hayami. So I'm excited to see him have a lot more individual agency with this kind of champion. Robbie, of course, has been a big name in the North American amateur scene. Formerly player of Mirage, formerly notorious for the Robbie Hayami duo from back then. Now with AOE, it is a little bit unfortunate though. Knowing that Clam is a young talent coming out of Purdue University. He's also a really good close friend of Robbie Bob. And I was actually so excited to watch 2v2s, but hopefully Robbie Bob can kind of step up. And hopefully Clam comes in game 2, man, because regardless of his win or lose, I want to see how Clam and Robbie Bob work together as a 2-on-2 unit, because these two, man, I think both these guys are going to be insane when we see them perform.
I'm excited for that as well. But I was just doing a little bit of quick stats over on the other side. And so you're right. Robbie Bob hasn't played a lot of Lucian as of late. But back in the fall split of UPL, he played a ton of Lucian back then.
That's fall, though.
But the thing is, he has the practice on it. It's not like Lucian's really changed since
That's true,
then.
that's true.
It's just been the added mythics in to be able to make him even stronger than he was back then.
That's true. Back then, Lucian, you just straight up rush play the Rune King, and you're all good. Now you have to kind of go Kraken Slayer or Gale Force. And we'll kind of, I'm actually curious to see, how Robbie Bob can do. He is known for these assassins. He is known to play AD champs in the mid lane, which I think a lot of mid laners right now in the amateur scene don't really play much of. So
not enough.
Surprised to see how he's going to do it.
Yeah, not enough at least. But you know what? Sounds like we're getting ready to load up onto the Rift for game number 1 of ISU versus AOE Brady. I'm excited to start off the spring split right here in game 1.
And cue up the Brady Bunch theme song. Forgot what it was.
What was the Brady Bunch?
What was the Brady Bunch?
I'm trying to remember. I don't know why, but I'm remembering the
I know.
Peanuts one. That's the one it's definitely not the...
I know Cheers. That's the one I know.
Why Cheers? Of all the ones to remember.
I know Too Many Cooks. That's a good theme song.
I mean, then again, I've also got like BoJack Horseman stuck in my head. But that one's super cool and unusual, you know.
Okay, I've listened to How I Met Your Mother way too many times, because that's a great opener. So,
speaking of openers, the best opening. I'm trying to think what the best opening song of like. My favorite will always be technically season 2, the second opener of Death Note with Maximum the Hormone.
Oh, I was wondering when we're gonna pivot into anime. it always goes. Eventually will go into anime. Speaking of openings, though, Alex, I do like this opening of what ISU has done on the board.
That was a nice ward. I like that ward.
I like that ward on the red buff, man. It just kind of shows if Draxler is gonna do that Raptor start, or is he gonna start on the red side. Knowing that Vex and Skytech are just kind of showing up already on the bottom side, it's kind of revealing of where Draxler is going to start. So, good stuff on ISU.
And bada bing, bada boom. There he is, right on the red buff. Know exactly where he is. Of course, usually it's Lilia. You start on those chickens anyways. But just having that a little bit of information for Hyper, playing this Kha'Zix, since he's going to try to see if he can look to bully around a Draxler, and it is the Dark Harvest build path that we're wondering out of this Lilia, since, like we were saying back in Champion Select, when you're trying to be the AP carry for the team as Lilia, Dark Harvest works so well since you're trying to play towards those mid, even to late game team fights.
Yeah, it's also
Wait! Wait!
Oh, what the
happened?
heck? All right.
Nazca!
Yo, Nazca lost Flash. He got Flash. He got double Flash on and got ignited on by Sky.
I think it was probably Flash Heal. Flash Flay.
Flash Flay potentially on that level 2. It looks like it was on the level 2, and maybe got hooked into.
I don't know. I think it was level 1. I think it was even earlier. I think it was level 1 Flash Flay. Was able to get right in on top of him. Was able to get the level 2 at the perfect time to be able to then pull him in as he got as he flashed away. So it's just a GG well played coming in from the side of Vex and Skytech.
Yeah, just have to wait for the replay to see if that first blood is coming in. I do want to make this observation though, Magical, that Drudozer is the one piloting the set in the mid lane.
Yep.
He's not going to be running the Gangplank in mid in this.
I was hoping.
one
I
so
mean,
far.
Let's be honest. Gangplank into Lucian is not fun either. It's like, sure, you're setting up Set versus Sion, but like if you're setting up Set versus Sion just to be able to have then Gangplank into Lucian, you're really losing out then.
That's what I was wondering a little bit of what was going on. In this is where I kind of wonder if Gangplank mid was actually a better way because the wave is so much shorter, you know.
Yeah.
In the top lane, if Lucian goes top into Gangplank, Lucian's just able to freeze that lane all day, every day. You know, you put Sion in the mid lane, Sion's also able to just kind of sit there and wave clear. It doesn't matter how much CS he goes down low. You know, and that's always something you got to negotiate with your squad. It's always something you got to think about when it comes to the lane dynamics. Even though GP has a losing matchup in Lucian, in the mid lane, that lane's mad short. Lucian isn't gonna freeze up on that lane like it's freaking Christmas. No, it's gonna bounce back like a freaking castle.
Oh,
but going right back in, we have another fight, man. Goddamn.
Yeah, already getting a gank. Hyper looking to flash over the wall. Not gonna be followed up. This connector getting pretty safe there in the bot lane. But yeah, we jump right back and we already get a kill bot lane.
Yeah. Hyper picked up 1. Nazca is the one who falls down again, but a kill does go over to Vex on that bottom side. So kind of a trade-off.
It's a trade. You give a kill over to Sivir, who wants to PvE, but you also give one up over to Hyper on this Kha'Zix.
Pick your poisons.
Exactly. What poison are you going to have in that one as Drudozer? Going to be able to get the Face Smasher right on top of Draxler. He's got to be careful. Look at the damage he's taking. Does not have that Haymaker shield. It was close. I thought they were going to look for the dive.
Yeah, that where Rybob thought that they were going to go in, and that's why he flashes forward. And this is where we see a little bit of some of these teams and some of these new teams and the communication that comes through. Rybob thought they were going to go for the dive, man. That's why he flashed forward. That's why he wanted to continue the aggression. But unfortunately, the retreat comes calling back in, and he just loses his flash for free. So we'll trade it to Flash with Drudozer.
But
so
it's also Lucian losing his flash, man. It's like, it's kind of a big deal, but
it's a big deal.
Well, it's not like losing a flash on, say, like Drudozer, where it doesn't have a dash away as well. Like, sure, Robbie Bob can be punished, but it's not the easiest thing still to be able to stick to a Lucian.
I mean, you can say that, but the issue is that you're also dealing with Kha'Zix, who can jump right on your face, and sometimes you're gonna need that flash. You also have Nausicaa, who's playing Bard, who's gonna be roaming a lot throughout these lanes, who's also can look to punish that flash too. Whereas Drudozer, I mean, you can definitely punish that flash if he pushes up the wave and Rybop sets that up. But most of the time, Drudozer of course has that Haymaker and has that gigantic shield. In theory, he should be okay unless Rybop wants to set up a potential freeze.
And this is actually, I kind of want to go back to the fact you were talking about Bard and how he wants to rotate. This is why I love this Sivir pick into it. Because normally, Ezreal, it's kind of one of those lanes that you don't care. It's almost the equivalent of a sack lane where you're not really going to touch it. You're not really going to gank for it too often ever. And that means Bard can rotate. But with Sivir, since she's constantly shoving that in, she's going to be able to get these plates. You're going to take away what you wanted with that Ezreal, which was just to neutralize the lane anyways. There's so many things that you're able to do, as now Hyper was able to get a lot of damage onto Robbie Bob. Even get Cannon Barrage to look for the dive and succeed at it.
Hey, yo, Alex, didn't I tell you that?
You were right.
Did I tell you that Rybop won that flash, bro? I told you Robbie Bob won that flash, man. Unfortunate, because that was a good punish from Hyper to get rid of Rybop in the mid lane, too. And that's, but I want to kind of touch back on your point in the bottom lane. When we talk about Vex, we talk about Disconnector, we talk about Sivir. It's such a touch and go because the way Ezra likes to play is he just wants to 1v2 the lane. The issue is that Sivir and the Wave makes it a 1v3, and Ezra at that point can't handle him by himself, man. You're playing Super Smash Bros. And you're fighting 1 versus 3. Before I get to that, though, Nazca, you're going to get jumped on. He's going to come back away. Yeah, he's going to portal away, but a lot of pressure is coming on this bottom side from AOE and from the Brady bunch, man. I'm not too sure if ISU can kind of hold on to this turret.
Can I just say, it's so nice of Riot to name so many things after me in this game. Magical Journey, the Magical Cat.
Okay, we don't need a toot your own horn now, Alex. I understand you got a cool name. No one's gonna name themselves chillin' in the game, bro.
When they bring back Omewrecker, it's gonna be Magical's item, you know.
Oh my god. Do you think that they're gonna you think that they're gonna do the same thing to you like what they did for LS, man? You have to be a bigger salesman than that, bro. Like, come on.
Look, he tries to sell games that are in the game. Only I'm trying to sell an item that's not in the game.
I understand that you want to be the home record salesman, but you gotta try and reach up to LS's numbers, man. Like,
hey, look, when people who don't even necessarily know me and see my cast still know I'm the guy who tries to sell Omewrecker, I feel like I've made it in some regard.
In some regard, but the question is it a good or bad thing? That's the difference too.
Hey, you know what? Notoriety's notoriety. That's all that matters.
That's true, man. Good clout, bad clout. It's clout regardless, I guess.
Exactly. But get back into this game right now. This is looking good so far for ISU. They've got 2 kills onto Hyper, onto this Kha'Zix. Looking like he's going to be a good spot in bot lane. Even if, you got the shove coming in from Vex to try to see if they can keep Disconnector and Nazca pinned under the turret. It's relatively even in that CS. It's not like they're getting that massive lead that you'd like to have as a Sivir over an Ezreal.
Yeah, I will say, though, the longer this game stays this kind of game state, the better it's going to be for AoE. Because, like I said, man, Robbie Bob and Vex are going to be 2 big hyper carries that can do a lot in the later stages. And we look at ISU, man, they're not going to be able to take Sivir ricochets over and over again. They're not going to be able to take boomerang blades from Vex later on. And then if they ever clump in, Robbie Bob's going to dash away and have the Navori quick blades dashing in and out and try and do all they can. ISU do have a hope, though. Magical, for 100%, they have a chance. Or, speaking of chance, Judos are going to fight a one-on-one with Robbie Bob, but their chance right now is that first item spike. Is where, their poke is going to do a lot more damage compared to the teamfight of AoE. Might look to try to catch Robbie Bob.
For Robbie Bob, and he gets punished twice over. You were 100% on the money with that one. He definitely needs it.
I told you, man. That flash costed Robbie Bob a lot. Cost him 2 deaths so far. And ISU punishing Robbie Bob right now in the mid lane. And even though Draxler is the coach for AoE, it's looking a little bit unfortunate because I think playing with Clan, playing with someone who's a lot more high tempo in the jungle position might be costing him. The way Draxler is moving around this jungle camp, the way he's moving around the map is very much like any coach would play. Very macro oriented, very much, limiting risks, maxing out rewards. For Clam, though, speaking of Dreyer, who is the coach of Purdue and the coach of Clam for 2 years, Clam's more of a go, go, go kind of jungler. I think Robbie Bob maybe Robbie Bob in practice is just kind of used to that, used to Clem and his playstyle, playing a lot more aggressive, but he is definitely getting punished in this game.
Can I say that I love how Nausicaa was playing that? He knows that Vex is top lane, which means Skytech is nearby. There's that control ward. And how he kept just making sure that he would auto-attack it and not have it actually reset its health perfectly, so that way there was never really an opportunity for Skytech to try to fish for a hook there. There's small details of a player that shows you their proficiency of playing against certain champions as well.
Yeah, it's definitely working out. You already see Nazca looking to jump on a Vex right now.
We're gonna get the flash out of him on the hunt as well. Has heal available. Gonna use the heal with the flash coming in. No lantern today, and that is a 4th kill for the Bug.
I just want to point out that Nazca flash queued and nailed it. And maybe he was slightly envisioned because Hyper crossed over the wall, but regardless, that was going to hit if Hyper wasn't over there on that wall or not, man. That slow was so crucial on getting that kill. Nazca, of course, showing his expertise on that champion, and I got to highlight that point because they're looking to push the lead right now.
Flashing away, but look at the amount of damage he's taking. He's not tanky enough to try to be able to survive this flash coming in. Looking for a triple looping lullaby with Robbie Bob on the other side. It's going to be the Tempered Fate onto 2 members, but Hyper shut down, and now it's going to be the showstopper into the backline. Getting the damage they need to. 2 are dead. It's a double kill coming in from Drew Dozer trying to see if he can take down Robbie Bob for a triple kill. It's going to be the True Shot Barrage that takes him down instead.
My God, we saw so many good plays back-to-back in that fight from both these squads, Alex. And the main difference that changed this game for ISU's favor is the number of advantage that came through. We look at the mid lane, we saw ShamWow. ShamWow, of course, wasn't in. Vex wasn't in as well. But then right now, on first items, early game items is going to 100% favor ISU 100% here. But I got to highlight two amazing plays that occurred. This is where Solidified flashing over, thought he was in a rock in a hard place, but then I wanted you all to pay attention to Draxler, man. He lands a 3-man sleep, and the moment that sleep comes in, Noska counters on a Draxler and on a Solidified, buying him enough time for Drudozer to come in with that showstopper to stop all the shows of what AOE want to do, man. He was like, this is the Brady Bunch, we're canceling this show no matter what. And criticize you, man. Drudozer and Noska put a stop on that entire play.
It's also really funny. We got to see one of those strange mechanics with True Shot Barrage that if, as you're channeling it, you're able to flash away right as you click it. It will go from your original location, not from your new location. And so, unfortunately, Robbie Bob didn't realize that. He got sniped by it because he walked straight towards it, thinking, he's over there. It's not going to hit me.
That's a little bit unfortunate, man. That's where, like, you see him get out of your field. You don't know if the Arcane Barrage is gonna get charged up. It charges up right in your face, and then you just kind of get hit by the max damage. Unfortunate for Vex, but regardless, right now, ISU are definitely putting on a pretty solid clinic. Even in the middle of the break, they're definitely putting on a show.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, sure, they had a break. It's been over a week since they've really been able to practice and scrim. But even on 11-7, it is not a different game. This is probably one of the weaker patches we've really seen. I'd say the only one that I'd equivocate to being just as weak was probably 11-5. Not really much changing. The only big one is Yorick, and I'm waiting to see when Yorick gets played and becomes the ultimate king of top lane and that is permabanned, but that's wait to be seen.
Honestly, if a team wants to pull out a Yorick, I'm down for it. I think the one who
we got players right now, and I feel like Alarm plays that a lot.
I was about to say, bro. I think Alarm would probably be the only top laner who'd be down to pull it off. But then the issue is that a lot of top laners are also down to pull out, the Vayne top lane, the Lucian top lane, the Quins.
Boo, range top lane, boo.
And they kind of, I don't know if you know, they kind of smash Yorick in that matchup.
Range top lane, boo, boo, boring, boo.
Yeah.
I was playing Gwen. I was trying to play Gwen on PBE yesterday.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
And someone took it away because stupidly they have it on draft mode, so only one player of all 10 players gets to play it, which I think is dumb. When a new champion's out, it should always be blind mode. Just saying, right?
I agree.
Going back to the point I was making, so it got taken away. So I played Viego, and someone played Teemo top lane, and I learned if Viego ever gets enabled, in about 10 years from now when he finally gets enabled, play Teemo into his ass, because oh my god, was that miserable. Holy Jesus.
Our colleague Sam Smagside has been preaching Teemo that is competitively viable into melee top laners.
I just specifically into Viego too. It's like, because Viego is so reliant on his auto attacks that once you see him Q, you just Q him back. It's like, good luck getting that heal back, buddy.
I mean, speaking of Teemo and speaking of something that needs to change when it comes to counter matchup, AOE needs to find an opening right now. Sleep comes through, but I don't know if they can try and find a punish.
Not going to be able to give the fish they needed to, but they got the knock-up on the Sham. Wow, trying to eat the orange to be okay, to be able to turn it around on Draxler, but he dies first. The rest of the members of ISU trying to see if they can bail out of this one. Draxler's still barely alive, but somehow Hyper turns it around under Robbie Bob. They even get the turret top lane coming in from Drudozer. Well, Disconnector might keep the fight going with how low Draxler is. Does he have the snipe? He has True Shot Barrage available. Does he try to go for it? I was waiting to see if he tried to pull the trigger. He should have done it. Come on, man.
Every time you have a chance, you take a snipe. That's what Mad Max's motto is. But
it's
regardless,
like Flash is an offensive summoner spell. Always flash forward.
Regardless, let's take a look at this replay real quick. This is where they try to jump onto Hyper, and that was their main target. But Shamo, of course, being the bodyguard that he is for his jungler, he's the one who takes much of the heat here. And credits to Draxler. He actually makes a great hourglass to prevent himself from dying here. Mr. Chuck wasn't going to land, but take a look at the bottom side, man. Robbie Bob was not expecting that damage from Hyper to come through. And isolation, taste the fear, it does a lot, bro. I don't know if you know, it amplifies by what, 2.5?
See, I'm so glad today is April Fool's Day, because it's a great joke in the corner there. He's telling lies to the viewers.
Yeah. What kind of lies are we telling? I'm not telling any lies.
It's someone daring to speak ill of the best item in the entire game.
What man?
It's saying that Omewrecker is not 100% win rate item, the best item in the entire game. Lies, absolute lies. But anyways, kind of going back into the point talking about items, it's the Eclipse build coming in from Hyper as opposed to going for that the Duskblade that you sometimes see from. And we saw there how beneficial it can be in those skirmishes where he was able to get the shield. It was a clutch shield to stay alive against Robbie Bob.
100%, man. Like, it's working out so well. He's sitting there 5-1. If anyone is isolated on AoE side, he can easily just nuke them. He's also opting in for the Last Whisper so that he can tackle Solidified if Solidified is the one who's caught isolated from the rest of the pack. You know, if I'm Hyperman, I'm definitely sitting here happy and free when it comes to taking any of these targets out. And for the Brady bunch, I don't know, bro. It's looking like Season 1 is going to end in a gigantic cliffhanger on this show.
I mean, then again, we do have to preface both these teams. We already mentioned, you know, that Clam is not playing for Draxler, so it's we'll have to see how AoE Brady are going to be when Clam steps into his role. As well for ISU, this is an ISU who hasn't really been able to practice as much as they would like to be able to. Even though they were able to win last split, become the champions, they still have to have a little bit more practice, as you can see right here. ShamWow looked like he was caught out, but he's going to be able to kite it back. All the while, Disconnector, Drew Dozer, they're mid lane. They're just pushing it in.
They used on the Hunt though, Alex, and that's what I'm actually very afraid of. They're gonna get collapsed on Hook.
Hyper, looking to see if they can get him. He's drowsy along the other side of the wall to be able to stay alive. While ShamWow trying to be able to battle against Robbie Bob. Look at the damage that's coming in. Draxler trying to be able to get away, but it's gonna be a parlay. No flash away. They're gonna be able to get the kill on the Draxler. Pull back in. Take him with the showstopper double kill for Drew Dozer. Chasing down AoE. Trying to see who else he can chase down. Solidified. He's the one left out to dry. Gonna be able to give that kill easily over to Hyper as he got the resets to bounce away. And now it should be their dragon.
I'm so confused as to why AoE pulled that trigger on the Hunt from Vex to start everything off. That's a gigantic ultimate that's needed. Snipe isn't. True Shot Barrage isn't going to find the shot. But regardless, man, like Robbie Bob fighting in isolated 1-on-1 against ShamWow, essentially kind of winning it at the back end by himself, but he's not outputting the damage against the front line. On the Hunt isn't there, so that when that Cannon Barrage came through, man, everyone was slowed under that freaking domain, bro. Like, it is not a fun time for AoE to come in. Disconnector, he's 1-0-6. He can TP. He wants his red for himself.
Yeah, I'm like, did he just TP for a red
He's feeling good.
He's feeling good. The Twisted Fate days back
he's
when
feeling
we used
good,
to see Destiny Gate used only for blue buff to try to steal that away.
He knows
and now
Skytech is here too. He
no,
knows.
this is not a fight you want to be able to take. He's got the Essence Deflect, and he's just landing shot after shot to take you down.
Bro, if I'm Skytech, I'm like, why the heck is this mother effer here? Like, he just reset. Did I not see that? He of course, didn't see that TP. Drew Dozer is going to get caught off on the other side. ShamWow's here, though.
Right into the barrel with the punch. Has to go golden to be able to survive. Got to be able to get the lockdown, knock up, shut down, gift it over to Draxler. But now Disconnector's here. Look at the damage. And they take him down over on the other side of the wall. It's so unfortunate to be a zombie form and have to run that far. So he's going to really get nothing for it.
Yeah, unfortunately for AoE, they thought they could try and tackle down Drew Dozer, but they kind of lose at the back end of it because Nazca and that ultimate, that Summer Fate, man, halfway across the map saves some lives, man. And that's why it works out really well for ISU. For AoE, though, if we just kind of take a look at everything, before he gets to that ShamWow, gonna get gunned down a little bit.
Does he have one just to be okay?
He don't have flash, yeah.
Unfortunately, Robbie Bomb. I thought he would try to go for that one to try to see if he can at least get the solo kill, but like you said, yeah, no flash, too afraid, not knowing
he's down
where
with
the rest
flashes,
of
man. This is where I think Rob needs to take a page out of the walkbook. Make sure you got flash on deck for your ingredients, because that's a recipe that can help you get some kills.
Especially because if you use it offensively, it's an offensive summoner. Oh, Hyper.
Oh my god.
By the way, he has Sherelle does. He is just slowing them down. The moment he locks them down just as much on the other side, they're not going to be able to get the snipe they need to. It's instead going to be the forward spikes to take them down and be unstoppable.
Yeesh. Oh, they want to go for some more, Alex. Hyper's already in there.
Hyper.
Oh,
okay. You didn't want to go for that one. That one was a bit risky on that one.
They want to go for some more now.
I feel like they're just playing cocky. They know they have this huge lead. Disconnectors in the base to go on a killing spree. Solidified trying to be able to take it back, but unfortunately he just could not do so. Even in zombie form, he's going to be kited back too easily. With Skytech finally showing up. He died so long ago, and he is just watching in awe and horror.
Yeah, remember that he died in the mid lane, died against Disconnector in the top side.
And he's
gonna die again. He's gonna look to die again. He's actually okay. The sleep's gonna come through. But regardless, ISU, they do have to back off. They're overstaying a little bit.
Disconnector, though, he's right back on top, and they got the barrels on the other side. Draxler goes golden. How many times do we have to say that? But he dies this time upon respawning.
My God, man. All right, ISU, I understand. Y'all are the champions. AOE, they put up a good fight. In the early game, they definitely put up a good fight. But it's very clear that AOE has some holes in their game plan. Temper Fate's going to steal a deal for these two. Ain't no doubt about it. Robbie Bob, of course, picks one back in, but it's not going to change, bro. Oh, solidified. Oh, my God, Disconnector!
I'm just letting you play-by-play this because...
Bro, Disconnector missed that shot, man. Come on, bro.
I know. I thought he had that one for sure.
I thought he did.
Oh, my God. That was one barrel combo.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Like,
Yo,
I
AOE wants
this.
to get... Solidify wants this. He wants to continue.
Solidified. Do you think
I don't
you
know if you want this, bro.
Do you think you could do this? I don't think you could do this, man.
Oh, no! Skytech also uses the box. The Hyper's around the corner.
Hyper looking to see if he can assassinate, and he easily does so. Taking him down, going to be able to get the resets flashed in
hopping.
on top of Draxer. Does not have the hourglass this time, but it's going to be the knock if they need to be able to hopefully take down Hyper. No, he's still alive somehow, but he's put to sleep. There we go. Shut down, gifted over to Draxer. Well, Disconnector, True Shot, Barrage. Flashing away to be able to survive, kiting him back. Swirlsy dodged away just barely. And keep in mind, Drew Dozer had the flank. This is just them trying to see how many kills they can get in this first game of the UPL. Robbie Bob on the other side was able to get a shutdown, but what does that really amount to when minions are pouring into the base? And honestly, ISU with a kill, more than a kill a minute right now. They're just playing with their food.
Yeah, at this point, Alex, this is where ISU knows they've won, AOE knows they've lost. This is where they go back into the drawing board. They hop into the Smash Bros. Lobby like, you know what? Let's just play some Ganon Dittos. It's not going to matter who's going to win or lose at this point. Let's just have some fun. And that's what they're doing. They're basically just slugging back and forth. They're fighting. They're kind of throwing themselves on the line to see if they can kind of get a win one or another. Hopefully, ISU is done playing with their food so they can end this game, you know, and go into the next game with AOE. But I guess they're just still down a clown a little bit.
Oh, Skytech. Skytech. Nope.
Oh,
No barrel.
okay.
I was waiting to see how much damage the barrel was
solidified.
gonna do.
Whoa,
Dodged
whoa,
away
okay.
though. Natsuka's easily out of that one. Gonna be able to get the hook immediately. Get the orange. His True Shot Barrage does a lot of damage. Well solidified. Gonna be able to get the double
He's
knock,
by
but
himself.
unfortunately he is by himself. You're not surviving that one. Not easily. They're gonna be able to get the slow on to Vex with the Tempered Fade dodged away by the spell shield. Solidified Zombie's doing a little bit of damage, but they're gonna be able to get the kill on Skytech and try to see if they can chase down Vex once more with the Dragon in tow. They've got so much to be able to cut off their retreat, taking a killing spree for Sham. Wow. Draxer, Robbie Bob trying to run away. The flash coming in, melting a lullaby onto two members. Goes golden, barely in time, but he's dead.
Let's go, Robbie.
Respawning. Even though Robbie Bob was able to get the kill on Hyper on the other side, he finally dies. It's an ace finally coming through for ISU.
All
and
right.
with the minions there, this is going to be the game.
All right, good job on Robbie. He finally wins the one-on-one against Hyper, but it's not going to matter because he just takes a gigantic Mystic shot into the face, and that's going to do it for ISU. You know, credit to them. They play the early game. They play the way they want, and they also
want
got
more kills, by the way.
They want more kills.
They're not
They
done.
want more fantasy points. They want to get more fantasy points themselves. That's all they want.
That was so much damage on him. He's like, I'm fine at the fountain, right? Barrel, Mystic shot combo. Oh man.
Yeah, honestly, ISU looks like nothing has changed from last week. I'm being honest. They still follow their game plan. They let Hyper do what Hyper does, which is get going in the early game. And the moment he does that, everything's kind of smooth sailing. I mean, take a look at his record, man. He was the one with the most kills. Disconnector then picking himself up in the mid game, which is where he himself shines. And Drew Dozer picking a 2v2 mid laner that is always down to fight, man. What I say. ISU, of course, likes to do a lot of things, but I kind of figured their identity out. I like to say, man.
So can we just say that we started off a spring split with one team getting more than a kill a minute? In fact, I think it was like about an average of like a kill and a half a minute. And if we totaled it all up, probably 2 kills every minute in that game between the two squads.
Sheesh, how many is that, Alex? I'm trying to think.
Because it was about a 25-minute game. And there was easily 50 kills in that game.
50, yeah, that's just 2 kills a minute. That's a lot. That's that's a lot. I'm pretty sure death timers are like 30 seconds in the end game. And they got mad kills, man. That's where, but I think that kind of highlights AOE though, right? Highlights AOE as a brand new roster coming together, as a team trying to gel themselves as a unit. And if I'm AOE, man, I don't, this loss, yeah, it sucks to lose, but you're playing against the number one, reigning champions of the winter UPL season, man. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you guys are getting your fundamentals back in. Make sure y'all understand your matchups, and make sure you guys know how to work together. And then y'all kind of go through.
and also having to sub in the coach to play jungle there.
Yeah.
Just, it's not like you did a bad job. You could see that he has the mechanics there, but it's that synergy that you kind of mentioned that
Exactly.
Robbie Bob has with Clam that just unfortunately isn't there in this game. So it's a bit unfortunate for AOE, but ISU looking strong as ever. They take game 1. We're going to toss it off to a break. We'll be back getting ready for game 2, so stick around.
And welcome back to this MLB Rapture Grab show yet again by Beatdown Boulevard and Jolly as our guest for the evening. I gotta say the result yet again was definitely expected, but ISU took the board, the economy, and they plummeted AOEs to the ground immediately. So every single form of real estate was captured and put on sale on the map here at Beatdown Boulevard. So let's go ahead and dive into how exactly they did that.
Well, I mean, honestly, it seems like they were kind of listening on the side of ISU. This time, maybe Pater was given a little look-see on the desk and realized, you know what? Yeah, Robbie Bob is really good. Why don't we just have the boys camp him out in the mid lane? Because I saw a lot of repeat visits there. That's if that's solo queue, that's probably a disconnect right there. 3 separate occasions you see Hyper come into the mid lane. Occasionally, Nausicaa is there with them. Robbie Bob can't actually interact with the game. It was really painful to watch. And Fed Kha'Zix ain't nothing to mess with.
No. Early on, absolutely not. The last thing that you want is a Fed Kha'Zix. And you mentioned Nazca, who is one of the players that I mentioned at the start before we got into this, kind of the highlight, because a lot of the times you don't get highlights on supports, and you can see why I highlighted this support, because in particular, this Bard, the early roam is something that is really pivotal to playing a very good Bard as well, or just knowing when to roam, when to head back down into your lane, and when to assist with either objectives or moving to the mid. And you can see Nazca was all over all the time, doing a really good job of focusing. I mean, you can tell mini-map awareness is incredibly consistent. Just noticing if I can engage on this fight, if I can assist with this so we can make it into a team fight, or if the rest of the team is kind of too far back. So a really good mediator on will we continue this engage or not. But yeah, when you've got that set Drew Dozer who was sitting in a losing lane up into Illusion, you're like, initially we were like, that is going to be tough. That is a tough matchup. That's something you don't want. So all it took was hyper camping that lane out. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some respect bans here, but at the end of the day, Illinois, you could tell, just was kind of having fun. They threw a set in the mid lane, again, with the ability to counter pick from the other team. That alone is such a scary choice to make that they're very clearly very, very confident. And, I still want 3 games, but it's looking a little narrower now.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It doesn't bode very well. I was expecting maybe ISU to not look as good because, of course, again, we did say they've had a week off, still a good team, but maybe a little bit of slip ups here and there. But honestly, they look as clean as they did when they won UPL last split, also last week. So now going into game 2, we have the sides. We still have AOE on blue side. I think the question in my mind is going to be, what are they going to secure here? I'm hoping they grab themselves some really strong power picks that they can actually try and, either secure a really strong pick there, like Tristana, perhaps, if it's not taken away there for Robbie Bob, a strong AD pick. Kaisa, again, Tristana, really good champion right now, works in both lanes. It's probably where I would set my sights on if I was AOE, but it's looking a little tough.
Definitely. So you want to make sure that at least Robbie Bob can have at least a sort of winning or scaling back farming lane, right? Because with Illusion, I think it's set matchup, you knew that, hey, if you let him get ahead, he was going to absolutely, unequivocally, and undoubtedly even run over the entire enemy team of the ISU. So they decided, hey, man, you know what would be a good time for us? How about if you just spend about half the game in gray screen, so you wonder whether or not you got colorblind mode on. It's which is unfortunate for them, but like you mentioned, the beatdown, right? Definitely priority right now for AOE is making sure that they can get some sort of safe play for the laners to just try to run over the game next, or just perhaps just delay it, log it up so they can fight as 5 as a team. Because ISU just seemed at every step of the way that they were ahead of the curve. They know what they wanted to do. They knew how they wanted to lock them down. And break Schmake, bro. These guys are looking as good as ever. So, Jolly, I'll come to you on this one. What does ISU do to make sure they can keep on track into this game and possibly make it a 2-0 so that your prediction becomes wrong?
So that I'm wrong. All right, I'll tell them what to do so that I am inevitably wrong. I think, honestly, you had first blood and a lot of pressure early game for AOE on that bottom side. The Sivir and Thresh, it was a great matchup. So I think sticking with something with the escapability, I liked the Ezreal Bard. I was kind of concerned about it just because of the fact that you're going into such a heavy control lane. You got a lot of priority on the Sivir and Thresh. But if you can keep something like the Ezreal Bard, a lot of control there, a lot of the roam and the forcing, kind of wondering and keeping an eye on the mini map by the other team to question and continue to ward and to continue to to try to keep an eye on this roaming support. So something like that where you've got more control, you've got the escape ability with the Ezreal, but you've also got a bunch of control from that Bard coming in. If they can focus that, then they'll continue to do fine.
1,000% here. Now, Beatdown, do you have any thoughts on this?
I pretty much agree.
No,
Like,
you don't. We're going to go over
Okay.
Beatdown, pull up.
I'm one of the casters.
Magical. Let's get it.
Welcome back into the caster desk. Wait a minute, what's going on there? What's going on there? I'm a horse now. Oh wait, I'm a hyper.
Nice.
What happened to me? Wait, where'd the horse head go? Can I have that? Send that to me. Send that to me. I need that. Give me that. Wait, or should I get a unicorn one?
I think I'm in a parallel universe. Alex, I wasn't ready for that. I was looking at my watch. What'd I miss?
Should I get a unicorn mask and wear that on stream?
You are mad magical the unicorn. You are magical the unicorn, so would be.
Why is there not like a unicorn champion in
So
there?
I guess the question is, if you're a unicorn, what would I be? You know, would you have me as a walk, like a legit walk?
No.
No?
It's
Okay.
got to be an animal. It's got to be an animal.
But I could. But the thing is that I could be a traveling hot pot.
Could, but I'm trying to think animal here. I'm trying to think animal. And I don't know why I imagine you as like a Wolverine.
It's because it just starts with. It's because my name's Will and it starts with W, right?
No, it was either that or honey badger, to be honest. It was one of those two. Yeah, I feel like you're feisty. It's something that's not afraid to.
All right, Twitch chat. Let's put up a poll. Should William be a Wolverine or be a honey badger? Let Twitch chat decide. We'll see what happens.
We'll let that. Yeah, but we got to get into the game at hand. We got to talk about game 2 between AOE, who are going to be on the blue side this time against ISU. And that first game was definitely ISU, pretty much. Well, not right out the gates, but pretty much once Hyper got 2 early kills, it was all over from there.
Honestly, that game kind of just looked like it was ISU's game. And for AOE, the early game looked pretty textbook, right? 5-man point, start off top side Raptors, and then let's transition to the bottom side, and then let's look for some early game kills. The issue is that some of those plays, like what happened in the mid lane where Robbie Bob, blue flash to try and take down Judos, or assuming that everyone else would flash forward with them, there was miscommunication, and Robbie Bob just got punished twice because he didn't have that flash. For everyone else on AOE, it just kind of looked like they weren't on the same page a lot of times post the early game. It kind of looked like when they were in a situation of where they were in a losing position, they're like, what the heck do we do from here, guys? It was like, are we trying to fight, or are we trying to scale, or what do we do? And that's where I think a lot of teams, when they come back into amateur, when they're newly formed, have a pretty big struggle when playing from behind. And AOE, they're just kind of going through the motions of what a new team goes through whenever they start playing competitive matches, Well,
especially going up against ISU, who are a team that like to break the mold. They're a team that does not necessarily care about what everyone else is doing, as you can even see from that one, where you see some elements of what they might be able to do, the kite back and all that stuff, and then you have Hyper and Drudos, who are these Bash Bros mid lane, who are trying to constantly skirmish. They get Hyper on Kha'Zix snowballing early, and it was, like I said, it was over once you had 2 early kills onto Kha'Zix.
Yeah, it's so tough when you're in that position to just kind of manage your waves. Yes, they have the if I'm AOE, right? Legit, you have Sivert, you have Lucian. Let's just turtle everything out. But the question is, how much discipline you actually got to sit there and play the slow game, man. Like, it is so hard for a competitive player to kind of go into that kind of motion, be disciplined, to tell yourself, be like, yo, we're just going to sit here and farm. We're just going to sit here and wave clear and just chill and give up a lot of jungle camps. So even if we have to, that's our game plan. A lot of teams do not want to do that, and it just kind of shows when we take a look at some of these new teams coming into the winter season, man. I'm sorry, into the spring season. Discipline is the number one game that separates the best from the middle of the pack from the worst, and AOE kind of has to establish that early on when it comes to their compositions.
That they do, as we jump into Champion Select for game number 2. I heard that we did have a little bit of a bug, unfortunately, with draft, so that's why it took us a little bit longer. Hopefully, not going to have any more issues. We'll see. It is April Fool's after all. You never know what's going to happen. Apparently, I became hypertension for a second with a horse head.
Yeah.
Well, and you just don't know. And he couldn't fit it over his headphones either.
That's all right.
That just tells me that he lacks effort and desire to actually do it. I feel like had he given more.
No, you're just baiting our producer to actually do that now. Like in one of these scenes, he's just going to transition himself actually putting the entire thing on. I'm just going to wait for that. If it happens on the screen, it will. We'll do our best hyper-tension impersonation when that does happen. But going to
what's
pick
your
a
best hyper-tension impersonation?
I play FGO. Done.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
That's it. That's
I play
it.
FGO.
So
That's
here we
it.
go. We got our first ban. It's going to be
Okay,
Udyr. I'm not too surprised to see that we have swapped sides.
Yeah.
So AOE, they did ban Seraphine, Udyr, Tristana last time. Honestly, I feel like all of those are fine bans. Those are strong meta picks. Even if ISU are a team that like to break the mold, you don't want to give them over some of the strongest meta champions regardless.
ISU still a team that is still down to play a lot of these meta champions, even though they are down just play the counters of those champions too. So yeah, that's something that you have to be mindful of. Surprised that Seraphine isn't banned on ISU as of yet.
Not yet, yeah.
They'd rather ban Malzahar from Robbie Bob. And I will say though, Malzahar is a champion that can limit the way ISU plays because of how the champion works. You have to pay the QSS tax. It's legit a click R button that stops one person from popping off. And the two people that you're going to target, no matter what, is Hyper or Disconnector in the early game. I understand why that ban's coming through, but AOE, they're banning Seraphine on the blue side, man. I think that's a big worry when it comes to the champion
I'll
pool
be honest,
of
I
AOE.
don't think that ISU are going to pick it regardless. Like,
I don't
not pick it, they're going to ban it regardless. I think
Yeah,
was going to be something they were willing to leave
But
open.
That's the issue, though. Like, if AOE is the one banning it, that means they're not down to play it. So if they're not down to play it, either A, they don't like playing it, or two, they're not comfortable playing with it. Personally speaking, that champion just requires like legit 30% efficiency from any player, and like you're good, bro. Just double.
Well, ask yourself.
Yeah.
Do you like to play Seraphine?
Yeah, man. No, easy as just a clear wave with one button and be like, what are you gonna do now, bro?
I mean, she's literally just modern day AP Janna mid. That's it.
And Sona as well.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. But even it's like, do you not remember like the old days of AP Janna?
Oh
mid,
yeah, you just
where
charge up Q.
Charge up Q,
Yeah.
walk back to your turret, job's done. That's what Seraphine is.
Oh, it feels good,
nowadays.
man.
Well,
It feels good.
Yes, she feels more like a modern version of Sona. I'm just talking about how she clears out the wave.
Yeah.
Back to
I would, man. You know how good that feels? You're like, they can't do anything. Like, hello?
See, no, see, you're basic. I play Chad 80 top Janna, where I'm able to 1v1 Zeds and kill them because I max shield.
All right, well, that's probably why.
Everything's Chad about Omebreaker, our producer who dares to talk ill of the best item in the
Alex,
game.
what was your peak? What was your peak MMR when you were actually grinding the game?
Wait, I've never grinded the game.
Okay, exactly. I think that proves my damn point.
I've never. Me grinding is me playing AP Nautilus till everyone else starts playing.
I think that kind of helps out my point. You know what? You're not gonna grind the game.
That's fair. But you know what I am good at is talking about the game.
Sure,
Hecarim
yeah.
not getting banned away. It was Kindred instead, changing it up a bit for AoE. Not surprised to see them first pick that. But I also feel like Hecarim is one of those picks that isn't as dominant as people like to assume he is. Well, he's good.
Yeah.
I feel like there are picks that do just as well as him. Lilia being one of them. Udyr already being banned. There's Olaf available. Nidalee. Volibear is what we've been seeing a lot as a good counter to him too.
Yeah, there's a lot of champions that do answer into Hecarim. I think the reason why you see this being first picked in this draft specifically, though, is that it's a big takeaway from Hyper, man. Like, we saw
True.
Hyper play
Very
Hecarim many times. It's a champion that fits what Hyper wants to do, man. He wants to run in, he wants to be rampant, he wants to snowball early. Hecarim's one of those champions, and and more than likely, that Hyper is not really going to pick up Lilia unless he wants to try things out today. So I like the Hecarim pick as a takeaway.
Once or twice. I've seen him play Nidalee as well, but I'm kind of with you on that one. I feel like the Hecarim is purely to take it out of the hands of Hyper. Volibear is a pick that could be into Hyper's hands, but it also could be flexed. With the Senna being picked here, we still don't have the knowledge on where that's going exactly. And I'm expecting to see, even though Thresh is wide open, probably going to be the Tahm Kench bot lane, give over Thresh for AoE. Honestly, just grab Thresh, Aphelios, Thresh, or Jinx. I feel like that gives you a really good standard bot lane.
I think it would be a good option for AoE, but they're not going to be looking to pick that up. You're going to be looking to pick up the Galio for Robbie Bob. It's a champion that Robbie Bob has played notoriously, and it helps out with diving in, pairing himself up with Solidified. So I'm liking what AoE, the Brady Bunch, and their identity is going so far right now with the first two picks here. usually teams kind of make a mistake and they pivot away.
Oh.
Shen's also a really good
Whoa.
champion that fulfills that criteria, and I'm liking what AoE is doing. Full-on dive composition. The issue is that right now, they are showing their solo lanes. They're showing showing their mid lane basically for free. They're also showing their top lane for free too. You know, if I'm ISU, I think Gnar is really good right now for themselves. If they want to kind of pivot this Volibear into the bottom lane with that, Gangplank works out well into Shen as well. Like ISU gets to pick a lot of what they like to do, and this is where, whenever you're drafting against ISU, whenever you're drafting against ISU on red side, it's a dangerous game, bro. Like, you have to watch out for all the counter picks. You have to watch out for all the flexes of what they can throw at you. Keep in mind, this Gangplank can go mid. This Gangplank can go into mid into Gangplank and win that matchup too, because if I'm Galio, like, taunt not going to matter. I have to land that just as much, and if I don't, it's kind of game over. And if I'm taking parlays to the face, it's also game over. AoE, of course, they have a really good cohesive composition, but you're opening yourselves up in the draft, and that's where I think it might be biting him in the butt.
The only problem I have with the draft from AoE so far is Galio Shen are 2 picks you could have saved. These are 2 picks you could have waited to see what's going to be more on the side of ISU before hard committing into the style of draft. And this is why you're starting to see certain elements of pick taken away by ISU, taking away Blitzcrank. Wouldn't be surprised if they honestly just take away Nautilus as opposed to even getting Thresh, because Thresh is a lot more telegraphed. It's a lot easier to be able to, if Tom Kench is available, to grab that, put that into the spot lane that you normally see the fasting send up bot lane. Since they've opted instead to ban 2 mid lanes on the side of AoE, I'm a bit surprised by this.
I mean, maybe that's what Rob Bob is trying to go for. Maybe Rob Bob just doesn't want to deal with these 2 champions. This is why I actually would have liked Kaisa in the 3rd pick from AoE. Because, you know, that means you would have Galio Kaisa bottom lane. Even though that's a little bit of a lose matchup, you're able to flex that Galio left and right depending on what ISU shows first, and then you can pivot from there. So a little bit unfortunate, but at the end of the day, though, AoE is establishing a good identity. The question is, can they pilot this identity through some of these counter picks of what ISU is establishing? Well, let's have to see if it works out for them.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing for me. It just feels like there's certain elements coming in from AoE that they're just not, I don't know if it's not respecting, or maybe they're expecting too much out of ISU to really change the pace. ISU are a team that can play a certain style, but they're also a team that can play towards what's meta. They can play towards what has been really strong and grabbing this set. And this is the one thing we have to keep in mind. Volibear, set, we don't know where we're going. Even though we expect to be hyper playing this Volibear, we expect set to be, strangely enough, onto Nausicaa's hands, not Drudozer's hands this time, because it's Senna and set lane. These are things that still can be flexed around and can still be adapted to on the fly.
Exactly, man. That's why ISU is so dangerous to draft against these guys, because usually whenever you're going into a match, you're like, all right, we know that this champion is a flex, but we can 99% of the time guess who's going to be piloting this champion. For ISU, you can't guess who's going to be piloting what, man. You can kind of guess like 60% Shamwa is going to pick this Gangplank, but that 40% though, like Drudos could put that thing in the mid lane, and you're like, oh crap, we weren't ready for that. But for AoE, they're going to be continuing to engage for themselves. They're going to be looking to dive into the bottom, dive in, hard commit. The thing with ISU though is that I think they've set themselves up to have a pretty solid basically defensive line, man. They have a really solid defensive line coming in, and they're going to be adding on to that with that Rumble as well, you know, making sure it's going to be a front-to-back team fight, and that you have to kind of tackle all the way through to see if you could break down the quarterback, and it is very clear who this quarterback is going to be on IS2. It's going to be Disconnector, sitting behind his front line, sitting behind his linebackers, and making sure that he can nail some of these shots against the opposing team.
So yeah, I'm not so sold on that recon pick by Skytech here. The rest was left open, and even though it doesn't really fit the mold of being able to dive in, one thing I like that it does is it does give a little bit of peel back. And it lets them have a little bit more safety, because now they are fully committed into diving into this composition of ISU. And look at this. You have a Gangplank who's going to be setting up barrels. You got a Rumble that if you jump into Flame Spitter Equalizer, he's going to annihilate you. You have Set, who's going to be able to disrupt. You have Volibear, who's going to be able to disrupt. And like I said, the quarterback ultimately of Disconnector on the Senna, who's going to be really far back.
This is where I'm wondering what's going to be happening. Oh, before I get to that though,
Whoa.
I'm down. I'm down for it. We talked about ISU Flex and everything. By the way, I completely forgot to mention, Disconnector plays Rumble. He actually plays as champion.
He does.
Completely forgot.
But the thing is, I saw Senna and Set, and I'm so used to seeing that bot lane where it's fast Senna, and you have Set bot lane, Rumble mid lane would be fine.
Like
Galio.
hello. Yeah. Like everything in ISU can be shuffled left and right, man. You could send Rumble top lane into Shen and it'll do okay. You could send, not Set for sure, but you could still send GP in mid lane and it'll do fine. You know, a lot of things shuffling, but I'm happy to see Disconnector pull out the role, man. That's a treat to see. Hopefully he can show up on this pick here. But I want to touch back on your point real quick on Magical about AOE and their, one-stop shop dive shop, man. Like these are all the ingredients. This is the recipe of diving in. The thing is that AOE, I think this is where some teams kind of get caught up on focusing too much on their identity. Yes, you're picking a full-on dive composition that works cohesively together as a unit. The issue is that ISU has champions on their side that works really well on answering back that dive. Showstopper helps out a lot. Volibear and his gigantic slow helps out. Gangplank Ultimate destroys this kind of front-to-back team fight, especially when you're walking through barrels, and that means that Senna is going to be a lot harder to tackle down. This is where I think if AOE actually pivoted their other two picks on dealing with that front line, it probably would have been a lot better.
That's why I think that Thresh would have been the final last answer coming in from Skytech. You stick with the Kaisa. I think stick with it. It works with what you've gotten, but it just gives you a little bit more tools to be able to work with. Hell, even something maybe like a Nautilus, just to be able to have something that is it's just depth charge where you can have essentially a longer range engage, right? Where you're not fully committing. You don't have to follow up a depth charge. You can lock that down on one target. If it's an opportunity, you follow through.
Honestly, at that point, I'm actually down just picking like Zyra or some sort of range support on the bottom side along with Caitlyn. I mean, they could have easily gone like Caitlyn Morgana on the bottom lane because now it means Caitlyn's able to just free hit their front line. You have a dominating bot lane that's very hard to kind of beat, knowing that they have Senna along with them. Like, it's just going to be a game of who can land the skill shots first and who can kind of go in and out of some of these exchanges. But then, if you're a confident Caitlyn Morgana, you are able to kind of do these things and you're able to kind of pin down a lot of their front lane because of traps and because of bindings. I would have liked AOE to kind of pivoted their composition away because of what ISU has given them, that they're showing they're picking champions to set up as a defensive unit. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but credits to AOE, they are sticking to their guns. Hopefully, they can set up this composition to perform well. Yeah,
it can still work, especially because you already talked about there's the clear quarterback coming into this one. Not as clear as before, where we were expecting it was going to be Disconnector on Senna, but still, Senna is the one you want to be able to tackle. You take her out, you're taking a lot of that power from ISU away. That she's no longer able to harass you from this long range away, and everyone else now is kind of thrown up in arms on what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah, it's a passing team versus a running team, man. That's what it is, Alex.
Also, hold on. Quick shout-outs to Joey because I had the same mug as her. I saw that. I was like, hey, I actually have that.
My mug has red stripes and got hearts. So
we got to get you a good mug.
This is a good mug. It's the thing with this mug is that it has a lot.
That is true. It's a big. That's a big one. But I have a foot.
Okay, well. Everyone has
let's get into game one. Game two, we already have a 1-0 lead for ISU over AOE. As AOE have drafted this full-on dive composition, trying to see if they can indeed tackle the quarterback. But there's a lot of linebackers that they have to deal with in front of them, and it's going to be hard to be able to get on top of Nausicaa.
Yeah. You ever heard of a blitz man? That's what AOE's trying to do, bro. They're trying to blitz them real hard.
Yeah, I've heard of Blitzcrank.
Okay, well, okay, all right, well, it's very clear that Alex doesn't watch football, guys. Alex, do you watch football?
No.
There. Okay, well,
not at all.
So there's a thing called the blitz.
Okay, I know that much. I know enough. It's like I made the linebacker reference. I know some things. I'm not that dumb.
Okay.
It's only mostly dumb.
Just making sure, man. You gotta see if we got the traditional sports coming in, man.
I see if you know hockey. I know hockey better. I'm
not a hockey guy, man. Unfortunately, I'm not.
So I'll tell you why I'm actually into hockey. Because I used to not be a hockey guy either. And then I worked at the Pond, which is also called the Honda Center, up in Anaheim.
Yeah.
And So the Ducks are obviously, being from Orange County. Angels and the Ducks are the two teams that you are fans of here. And so I was a fan of the Ducks, but I never really cared about hockey until I worked there. When you work there, it's not just being there, but it's being able to see the puck. It's so much easier live than it is on TV. That really does change because there's also a lot more action that happens elsewhere on the ice as opposed to just where the puck is.
I mean, that's what I've heard. Like, hockey is like a sport that is a lot better watching live compared to other traditional sports. Like, when you watch basketball on TV, it's just as hype as when
you follow the ball. It's easy.
Yeah, you follow the ball. It's easy to follow. I think this is what I've heard from hockey fans. The reason why they like watching hockey live is they get to see some of those fights, man. They get to see
oh my God,
punches.
some of the
they
fights
get to see people tackling to the wall,
legit,
man. Like,
man.
my God.
So I'll tell a quick story of my favorite fight that I ever saw. It was like this one quiet guy, Wisniewski. It was a defensive line who didn't really, he never really
what a
fought.
hockey name.
I know, right?
Wisniewski.
But he wasn't the enforcer. He wasn't the guy who normally fought. But it was against, I believe, the Red Wings, who are notorious for being kind of an asshole team. And they were playing way rough. It was like, no, this game didn't matter. But the Red Wings were making playoffs. Ducks weren't. This game had no, but they were playing way too rough, like way overly aggressively. And they actually knocked out one of the forwards, one of the stars of the Ducks, right? And just checking him, it was an illegal check too, so the guy actually got put in the box. But Wisniewski, I don't know what happened, but you could tell he was pissed. And so he knocks one of their forwards in a legal check, knocks the guy out, and then gets in a fight with their enforcer and actually knocks the enforcer out to be able to get him. But yeah, speaking of fights, just getting flashes, it's nothing too big. They saw Draxler there and okay, we're out.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about hockey, man. It's always about some of those fights, always about seeing who tackles what onto the little
not even just tackle. You gotta check. You check them, man.
Yeah, you gotta check
hit
them.
You hit them hard.
It's like, I don't know if you played street basketball. I know Elton's a big fan of street basketball, but it's like you trying to body up and trying to post up against one of them.
Ooh,
they're trying to push those flashes on the bottom side.
Look at the damage on Anoska trying to be able to survive and turn it around and get first blood for Disconnector, only barely.
Oh man, that's actually so unlucky. He also hyper picks up a
Speaking
kill
of
on the top
barely,
side
yeah.
too. That's honestly a big one for ISU, winning on both sides, man. First blood for Disconnector over Vex, and then of course Hyper getting a kill on his opponent on the top side. Drew Dozer has to back off.
In, looking to see if they can get him under the turret. Tank the turret shot, dodged away from the winds of war. Robbie Bob got himself pretty low, but thankfully there was no flash to be able to respond from Drew Dozer.
All right, man. He ain't gonna caught by those winds, man. He's A-okay, staying grounded like a tree against Robbie Bob. And that's something that definitely is good for ISU, knowing that they've won both sides of the map so far. And it's looking good. Vex does have a CS lead, though, so that may play a factor on the bottom side, swinging towards AoE's favor.
At least for now, and this is sadly kind of the issue that you have when you have something like a Rumble into Kaisa and Rakan, where you saw the double knockup. They already used both their flashes. Heal's gone, too.
Oh, yeah, it was clean.
It's really easy to be able to follow that up. And now, Disconnector pretty much just having to farm with either the Electric Harpoon or hoping that Nasi can get everything low enough so when he gets close enough with the Flame Spitter, he can actually take all the minions.
It was a good try, though. I definitely respect AoE punishing those flashes with a double man knockup. The issue is that Rumble just has a lot of base damage early on. Yeah. Like, even though you got that knockup, Disconnector was already activating that Flame Spitter, and that's why Skytech was just taking all that heat, pun intended, against Disconnector and that Flame Spitter.
I love little techniques like this. Whenever I watch pro games like that, Skytech making sure the wave is frozen so Vex can show up. Unfortunately, it is at the trade of this dragon. It's a good trade though. You're not gonna be able to get it. The wave is gonna crash regardless. Might as well just sacrifice that. Sacrifice a little bit of time so that way Vex can continue to get this lead over Disconnector.
Yeah, honestly, really good on them. Doesn't mean the Hyper is able to show up on the bottom side and let Noska and Disconnector crash this wave, which is mainly what they want to do. Hyper, I don't know if you want to dive, man. I think you want to take those drugs.
No.
Yeah.
Especially that Robbie Bob has 6. There's no reason to look for that.
Yeah, I'm like, yo.
Though, I want to turn our attention to the top lane, because it looks like
top lane?
trying to be able to get Sham. Wow.
Observer!
Look, he's got no flash, but he's turning it around! He's got a lot of damage back on a Solidify. Try to see if he can wait out the cooldown. Wait out the timer. Parlay damage. Trying to turn it around with the trial by
One more parlay!
Getting one more! There it is! 1v2! He turns it around! And Solidified cannot get
baby.
top of him, punches him with the haymaker, tries to get in. Shadow Dash gets the kill, but Drudozer, he might be able to trade this back and make it a 2-4-1 ShamWow.
You can't
so
teach that.
much, he can't
teach
get
that.
it. He's out of there, and it is going to be the 1-for-1.
You can't teach that, Alex. You cannot teach ShamWow. Yo, this is what you got to do in this situation. That's clutch right there. Turning things around. On the bottom side, we got another fight coming in, and Robbie Bob coming too.
Nicely
Boom.
done, heroic entrance
Teleport.
kill. TP'd a bit too late. And you're going to be able to get the knock-up onto ShamWow. ShamWow does not have the flash, but does have the barrels. Scaring away 3 members of AOE. Keep in mind, if Vex shows up a little bit too far, that parlay is going to kill him. Barrel put down. Going to be the parlay onto SkyTech. Hyper wants to be able to get Sky Splitter, but he's bouncing around, getting the stun. But look at the shield from Stand United to be able to help him out.
All right, we're getting way too hyphy right now.
Woo!
We getting way too. It is getting saucy right now. I don't know who woke the baby, Alex. Did you wake the baby? I don't know why. I don't know why everyone's all growling and yelling at everyone right now when everyone's trying to fight through, man. But you can't teach this. Look at ShamWow. He's so patient with this. Solidified, fortunately, missed spacing on the way ShamWow wanted path, and that means he gets it at the end of the day. ShamWow, of course, makes a mistake stepping up on this dash right here, and should just give him the kill over Drudozer. So that is a mistake at the end of the day. But ISU, they're kind of clawing it back and forth, but AOE answering back on the bottom side, sitting at Vex 3-0, by the way. Like, this boy's fed. This boy, I think we woke the baby because Vex was just hungry.
Well, and we talked about tackling the quarterback that's going to be Nazca, right? Well, what happens when the other quarterback is actually tackling you?
Yeah.
You have this quarterback who's so willing to just tackle anybody. That's what's essentially happened with Vex right now.
Magical, we got 200-pound linebackers. But here's the issue. They got a 500-pound blitzer on the other side, man. I don't know if they can hold Vex coming through, so he can bypass a lot of them if he gets this fed. We have to keep tabs on how Vex progresses in this state of the game. But right now, we do see ISU going for a lane swap so they can get that Herald for Hyper, so they can try and progress this game as fast as they can. But
they probably
I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. They put it mid lane because there's only 2 plates there. So being able to open this up a bit more for Drudozer, you've already seen him pretty much out-rotating Robbie Bob. Robbie Bob was able to use 1 heroic entrance. Now without the tier 1 in mid, it's going to give a lot more opportunities to Drudozer, but top lane solidified as well as Draxter, getting so much damage onto Nausicaa, trying to be able to chase him down. Going to be the equalizer, but it's not actually a great placement. He has to flash away to be able to survive, but he's going to be chased down, unless, of course, Hyper's going to be able to help him with the Sky Splitter to get a lot of damage. Bot lane was able to get a kill. Flame Splitter gets a kill top lane, so we have a total of a 2-for-1 globally.
All right, and even then on the bottom side, we see
Got
Vex
the
and ShamWow
oranges trying to get away. Dawning Shadows, and you're taking the turn. It's going to be ShamWow turning around. Make that a 3-for-1 globally.
All right. Oh, my God. Yo, we got top side plays. We got bot side. We got a party everywhere, Alex.
Well, it is not even 10 minutes into the game.
It's not 10 minutes in.
And we're having so much craziness happen.
Everyone's whining, everyone's crying, everyone wants kills. We got kills on the top side where they tackle Nausicaa down because of the flash top from Solidified. Like, everyone is down a clown and down a slug. And this is great. I mean, this is entertaining for me. This is entertaining for Magical. At the end of the day, though, the question is, why are y'all making some of these decisions? Why are you guys trying to fight and slug it through? That's honestly a question that we got to ask, because Vex makes a very big mistake trying to go for this dive on the bottom side. He thought he had it, but Dawning Shadow adds a gigantic recovery for ShamWow to make sure he's alive, and he just throws his lead away. And now look at ShamWow. He's there sitting 3-1 with that Trinity Force and a buffed Trinity Force in this patch too.
Oh man, it's so different. That's why I was wondering why last game when we saw Ezreal that we didn't actually see the Trinity Force be that first item. More just because what changed with it. It now actually benefits champions like Ezreal, like Gangplank. Before, that attack speed, not really something that they cared too much about. Now getting a little bit more AD, as you can see, it's going to be the flash on to Disconnector, Equalizer onto 3 members, but it's not going to be able to get enough damage.
We died in.
Heroic entrance, double knockup, but look at Hyper in the back line, trying to see if they can get the showstopper as well in the SkyTech to be able to take him down. Draxter trying to be able to get back away, but he's finished off, double kill, and no turret to run to. It's a triple kill coming in from Hyper.
Mistakes from AOE, Alex. You trying to tackle the quarterback, I understand, but you don't got your 500-pound linebacker with you. Vex was in the bottom side the entire damn time fighting a one-on-one against ShamWow, and that's why AOE making some mistakes right now. Some of these decisions when they try to pick some of these fights were very correct, and sometimes they punish these mistakes from ISU, but that was a play that was not needed. They want to try and go for some more, though.
They got the killer instinct on to ShamWow. They burst him down to give shutdown goal over to Vex. Hyper has to get away from the dragon. He's about to get pitched here, but keep in mind, Nazca and Drudozer, both of them nearby. Hyper
Vex
doing
ain't
his
here.
best to be able to delay long enough with
Vex
the shield
ain't
coming in
here.
from Sky Splitter, looking to see if they can get the taunt. But now Hyper is chasing
Vex
down,
here now.
flashing forward to take down Sky Tech. Robbie Bob is going to be the next to fall as well, even though they got the shutdown they needed to on a Hyper. Drudozer has a big shield, trying to fight back. 2v3, going to be the
look at
Onslaught
Vex.
Shadows, and Vex
Vex is
was
down.
able to get the kill. Wait, no, he's dead. And now Nausicaa is trying to get away from this entire fight. Finally chased down for a double kill out of Solidified.
My God, all this just started because they want to stall off this dragon, but Vex was nowhere part of that beginning of the play. He was down on the bottom side managing that wave. AOE are kind of in the middle of two plays at once. Vex wants to try and get some farm on himself on the bottom side, and then we see a fight in the middle, fight around the dragon. That of course results in AOE winning it, but still we're seeing some glimpses of AOE just not being on the same page and not being together. Vex dying at the end of it, of course, isn't a good look either. Even though this game is going back and forth in some of these fights, just take a look at the top screen, ladies and gentlemen. That's a 5K goal lead for ASU because they're still winning at the end of it off of Hyper, sitting there 6-2.
That's the thing that's crazy to me, is that there has been so much chaos, so much fighting, yet you still have this massive lead coming in from ISU. As this connector, 1v2 top lane, his equalizer unfortunately does not have that punch just yet. You can see that he's still working on getting himself that
Drew?
mythic. But Drew, he's got the mythic.
Drew
He's
wants
got the
this.
stride breaker. Gonna be a nice dodge away, but it's gonna be the double knock up on top of Drudozer. Scared
All right.
away still. They gotta be careful because that turret is near death. But if they can have Vex, if they can have Draxler show up in time, it's gonna be hard for Drudozer
stop
to be able to
fighting,
get away
bro.
from this one. He's gonna be
They
able
good,
to.
they good. Okay.
He'll be able to get out of it.
All right, Alex. We got to point something out that is detrimental in this game right now.
What up?
Look at Solidified.
Uh-huh,
Look
I'm
at that
looking at him.
42
Uh-huh, I see it.
by his little icon. Let's
I
look
see
at
it.
ShamWow.
Uh-huh, I see it.
The boy got 108. The boy got like double CS and then some. Now we see
And-
Vex stepping up way too
Ooh,
hard.
Vex, though,
But
look
turns
at
it around.
that. Is he really stepping up too far? He was
turns it
able to
around.
turn it around, and now 4v2. Even though the TP is behind, they're trying to get on top of
Vex
Vex.
is
They're going to be able to
tackled.
get stunned, and they might be able to finish
Vex
him.
is down.
He's gone. If they can get away from this, Solidified's too low, and he's dead too. Hyper trying to get towards the alcove to be safe and secure, but he's not. He's dead. Trying to get away. Draxler, he's cut off from the team. Might have to run back towards the team that are underneath the turret. Robbie Bob
Nazca
nearly
wants
finished
him.
up. Nazca needs one more shot and will
Nazca
be able to
gets
get the kill with the equalizer under the turret. They got the knockup, but Nazca barely finally dying. Sky Tech flash over the wall. Flash
the
coming
wall.
in from Disconnector. He's overheated. He's got the damage. You can't run anymore, Sky Tech, even if you got the grand entrance. One more harpoon. Wow, okay, maybe you can run away. Because he's got
Disconnector
himself
wants it.
a fancy feat. Yeah, he's got it.
He
though.
still wants to chase.
No,
Oh, what?
Whoa,
Get
Disconnector,
that-
where are you going?
Get that bird. Get that bird. You want it?
There he is.
He's in that bush.
Grand entrance. When's he gonna use it? Come
This
on.
kid's pointing.
Okay, he got the
wants
harpoon.
this.
One, two
He got
harpoons.
it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
now he's gonna roast the
okay.
chicken alive.
There you go. There you go. He got the
Roast
wild
chicken
game,
tastes
man.
good. Yeah.
Roast chicken tastes good, man. Roast pheasant tastes good, and he finally gets it. But at the end of the day, Magic, let's rewind the entire freaking play. That started off top side with Vex stepping up a little bit too far from Drudozer, and then everything literally blowing themselves
Okay,
out.
guys,
Vex, no need to stop.
can you stop fighting?
need to stop.
Please? Man, this is just so much chaotic fighting back
literally-
and forth. We're 15 minutes in the game. We have over 30 kills. They're trying to see if they can get up to 3 kills a minute.
Man, we're literally just the side characters of two anime protagonists and antagonists just literally looking to be ready to duke it out. We're like, hey, guys, this is legit episode 4 right now. We haven't even built the character arcs yet. Why y'all fighting? We need to chill and take a step back because right now, ISU, they are still slugging it out. They're still down to fight, but they're still the ones winning everything. And if I'm looking at the entire league, ISU are the ones who are the big bad villains. They're the ones who are at the top, and they're the ones who have the mark behind their backs. And AOE in this story are the young, underdogs and the protagonists of this series. But y'all haven't hit that training arc yet. Y'all need to stop. Just chill, relax.
Well, we are getting a moment of reprieve. At least for now, maybe I jinxed it. Because, yeah, okay, Draxler is going to try to get away. They're going to be able
I'm
to
breathing.
okay.
I'm breathing.
He's,
Okay,
he's
all
fine.
right. We're good,
So
okay.
I'm looking at the mythics. We have
Come on.
time to talk about items. We have a Trinity
Oh,
Force
okay.
coming in from Draxler.
Okay,
Not
okay,
going to
okay.
be the Turbo Chem tank that we normally
Bro, y'all, let's just peek Shamar real
You
quick.
knew he was
Before
there.
I-
Why
oh,
did you shadow
what
dash forward like that? He had to flash away. And they're, you know, they're gonna.
Oh, they
continue.
want to go.
They've popped.
Oh, they
quickness,
want to
and
go.
they've got 4 members nearby. Even with the TP coming in from Drudozer soon or later.
Noska.
No, he's dead. They've already got the kill on Hyper Noska, trying to be able to
down.
get away from this one. Sham Wow just gonna bail on him. It's a double kill from Vex. Look, the damage coming in from Sham Wow with that cannon barrage. Tries to turn it around.
Wow.
1v4. He takes him down. TP in. Trying to see if they can chase down more. They're gonna be able to get the face breaker with the shield coming in from the Haymakers. Finally dead to the killing spree coming in from Vex with Disconnector on the other side. Sham Wow is waiting it out, trying to get parlay, but Disconnector was found out by Draxer and shut down as well.
Yo, how much of Shamwell got absorbed before he actually has to squeeze everything out, bro? I'm being honest. Because the man took 3 people in front of his face and one that installed everything else out, bro. And I was going to speak a little bit about Shamwell. Because we take a look at the items. The man got 2 items. He got a Serpent's Fang being built in. Whereas Solidified, he only got 1. Baby girl. He only got 1. He's doing he's doing God's work right now. Sitting there with gigantic gold
Oh my god, I thought he was
now
gonna
they're fighting over the
steal that
dragon.
one. Well, Vex is dead.
Vex is down, man. He got cut down with a flaming sword. Like, who's gonna stop the ShamWow character? We're not even talking about Noska anymore. We're talking about ShamWow. Because
Well, I
this
mean, yeah,
man
'cause Noska
is being a
has
big
built
product.
up a Frostfire Gauntlet. That ain't the quarterback anymore. He's
No.
switched over to being that linebacker as well. ShamWow is got Serpent's Fang, has got Trinity Force as well. Those shields that you thought were going to keep Vex safe, not going to really help out anymore. And keep in mind, how long ago was it they took to that tier 2 mid lane? So now they can actually siege on to the inhibitor with the help of this Rift Herald. They might be able to crack the base prior to 20 minutes.
Yeah, but Alex, pay attention to the backside. We have SkyTech sitting in the back line. He wants to find a flank. Vex is coming in with Killer Instinct. This is where the engage comes in.
Looking for heroic entrance as well. Going to be at 1 going golden, but it's only Disconnector so far. ShamWow's damage with the barrel. They take him down. Disconnector. Hyper trying his best to be able to kite back, so ShamWow can get another parlay, but it's a double kill for Vex beforehand.
And that's where we are finally able to see a dive composition find success in one of these fights here, where they use all their ultimates in tangent with one another. That's what's supposed to happen, but that's what we haven't seen in the rest of the game, because everyone was just fighting left and right, some with cooldown, some without, and that's why it was a gigantic slugfest through and through. But now AOE finally find an option where they finally find a great play on themselves. Now they have to see if they can take down Drudozer. Oh, they definitely want to.
Oh, yeah, they do. And they want to give more gold over to Vex. He's got 12 kills in 19 minutes.
That's what I want to see, man. Hold half the kills on yourself. Make sure you get up to 500 pounds of pure muscle so you can tackle down and not have to worry about the front line of ISU. Right now, you have to deal with ShamWow being a secondary quarterback that you know, frickin' Noska can kind of throw an audible to. So we have to be very mindful of what can happen.
But Will, we're not even 20 minutes in, and it's 3 items for Vex. 3.
Not that it's just 3 items. It's also 44 kills in this game. Alex, this is like watching NFL. And it's not like a 20-20 score line. It's legit at like a 50-50 score line that happened in like the freaking 3rd quarter. It's like, what the heck's going on? Like, everyone's just getting touchdown back left and right. Everyone's getting field goals left and right. Legit, that's what this game is right now, ladies and gentlemen.
ShamWow, he's got 3 items. Vex has got 3 items. Everyone else has got an item and a half.
Solidified is the one who has taken the brunt of the game right now. He legit has not been farming.
He's got
man.
Flame Horizon, man.
I don't know if you know my brother Magical. My brother loves playing Shen. This is legit what my brother does, bro. The moment he hits 6, he's like, "Yo, man, where can I ulti to? Yo, man, where can I help out in the team fight?" That's literally what he does. That's what basically Solidified is doing. He's literally doing the best chilling brother impression of just helping out in team fights, making sure he's there to taunt, to flash, to teleport. That's all he's doing right now. But once he starts landing, it's not a pretty sight. He's 2 levels down.
Observers, can we see
It's not
gold
good.
for the teams? Because I just want to see that really quick. But right now, we do have a Baron started up, so maybe afterwards we'll see where the gold all is. ISU got to peel off of it. They're trying to see if they can bait it in a fight. Vex, look at the damage they got on the Disconnector just from the Winds of War. So now, there we go. We can see the gold and where that is at the moment. Vex having a lot of it. Only comparable against ShamWow.
Yeah, only comparable. But I like what the sneaky ward that they have for AoE has done wonders for. That's why they're able to be here for us defensive stop here. But the issue is that no one's stopping ShamWow, bro.
ShamWow,
no
yeah.
one is stopping ShamWow from split pushing.
ShamWow has double the gold of Solidified. Double the gold of Solidified. He's got 2-level leads. What can the Shen do? He can't do anything. Rogue Entrance not going to be able to get the knock they need to. But look at the damage on the Skytech on the other side. Well, Vexro is able to get disconnected to go golden, but the rest of his team is getting run down. They might have gotten the kill. They've got 2 actually. Look at Vex. Look at Vex. On the Hyper. They might be able to go to triple, but he's shut down finally. They've taken him out. And with the TP and ShamWow and crew, they want a Baron.
Vex almost salvaged the back end of that fight, but unfortunately gets stunned up, and Hyper still holding on to that ultimate, the Stormbreaker for himself. Make sure he wins that fight, Alex. And the one thing I gotta criticize AOE in that beginning was that all those ultimates were so defensive, bro. They were sitting right there by that pixel bush. They were nowhere near Nausicaa and Vex. Killer Instinct towards Disconnector. Those are the big points of that fight that cost AOE that battle, man. If they were to tackle Nausicaa, if they were to dive in with Draxter on the backside, that could have been it. That could have been a potential win for AOE. But because they lost his Baron, ISU win that fight and they balloon themselves up nearly 10k ahead.
And it's the worst of all worlds for AOE, isn't it? They lost the bot lane inhibitor with that. They've lost control around the Baron, meaning Baron into ISU's hands. Dragon as well can now be easily taken by ISU, with AOE having little they can really do to answer.
It's so tough, dude. Like, I understand that AOE wants to dive onto ShamWow, dive onto Nausicaa, but like, this is where the payoff comes in. Yes, you got a 500-pound blitzer on Vex. The issue is that you got like an 80-pound blitzer on Solidified, dude. He ain't tackling anyone. He is not tackling anyone on
It's like me
side,
trying
bro.
to tackle someone. I'm just all skin and bones, and I'm just like, if anyone
Vex,
was like heavier than me, I'm just kind of like hanging off, like, please fall over.
If this was fellow commentators, Alex, Vex is Desterex. No one wants to mess with Dexter on a one-on-one. Solidified's you. We're all okay with you tackling any one of us, man.
Hey, right now, ShamWow, looks like they were able to get him to go golden. Equalizer doing a lot of damage. Solidified is dead on the other side. They got the shutdown, sure, but look at the base. The base is just being taken. Disconnector is distracting the best he can, while everyone else is ending the damn game. They had the Omewrecker effect is best in the damn game, baby, as they are in the base, looking to take game 2 in another bloody battle. It is back and forth, but finally, ISU, even with the fact they're trying to pad the KDAs at the very end, they got the minions to end it all and win 2-0.
Alex, this ain't no Brady Bunch show anymore. This is a One Direct priority, man. ISU, they see no evils, and they don't want to bother with the haters coming out, man. These guys are playing. These guys, they made it a bloodbath, but it was definitely a fun bloodbath that worked well for their favor. And credits to ISU, man. They were just down a fight. ShamWow was like mad CS over Solidified. Solidified was a 100-pound linebacker, which is what you don't want on any football team, no matter what. It's the offensive line from AOE. They couldn't do anything, man. Even though Vex was super fed, they need to link up and make sure they're tackling at the same time. So someone's playing off beat, bro. Someone's kind of calling a little bit too early, and unfortunately AOE does fall. But regardless, it was I would say it was an okay showing for the first time. You know, they played a pretty cohesive composition. Unfortunate that they didn't adapt in draft to deal with the front line of what ISU had, because in some of those fights, man, Oscar was just able to do his thing. And usually when we have a Senna in that kind of position, usually Senna's straight up dead. But with all that front line, it was kind of good for ISU, and it worked out well.
And for ISU, like, the thing we gotta say with them is they like to play these chaotic gameplay styles where you have wild games like this. Yet this is why I kept mentioning, even though there were moments where it seemed like AOE should be the ones in the lead, they were constantly down in gold, constantly behind, and it never really worked out for them.
That's where, when we look at cohesive compositions, especially click our compositions, such as what AOE has drafted for themselves, right? The big thing is that some of these compositions are also very hard to kind of pilot. Yeah, it seems simple because, you know, you just click one button. It's all good. You know, you just click the R button as long as someone's in there, and you guys are fine, right? The issue is that y'all got to manage cooldowns. Y'all got to manage your resources. Y'all got to keep in mind who has flashes, where the terrain's going to be, and that's where that execution comes in very hard. And we saw some of those fights You know, they were taking fights back to back without the same resources. And then that last fight around Baron, they were not in, and they used those ultimates defensively. And Vex shot himself to the right wing towards Disconnector. He didn't go in deep. No, he went to the right side, and unfortunately, that was a big mistake on his end.
All right, but that is going to be it for us here. It's a 2-0 for ISU. We're going to toss it over to the desk. They're going to be able to take this over. Apparently, I've been told by the producer to trust them, and so you know I don't trust them. So desk,
we don't trust them. Boo!
Thank you very wow. Okay.
Okay.
Bro, this
right.
is nah, fam. Yo,
Let me hear it.
I put up with this the entire previous season. It will not happen today.
But it did.
Get their crown off of his head, bro. I know
Now
for
they're
a
gonna put
fact.
it back. You know, now they're gonna put it back. They
Just
removed it.
guaranteed,
Yeah.
Look, bro, yet again, I was always a prediction king. I always outdid beat anytime it came to it, bro. Y'all gotta stop with this cat, bro. This man is
what's it like in this magic world you live in, bro? I want to go there, bro.
All right, that's it. But you don't get to talk for the rest of the game, for the rest of the day. All right, Jolly, talk to me and only me about how you felt about that game. Beat down Boulevard, just leave, bro. Go.
I mean,
that game was. That game. Now we've lost him. All right, look what you've done.
Right. No, we don't need him. It's fine. it's me.
Okay. All right. So I mean, that was an incredible game. And I am addressing strictly you now. So it was very back and forth. Obviously, it looked like for a while there towards the end, you had what kind of seemed like a comeback from AOE. But honestly, you could consistently just look at that goal differential. Even when AOE had like 3-4 successful, not team fights, because they were kind of a little bit split. And that's where they were able to get, a bit of a jump on some of these initiations. But you looked at the end, it was 9 towers to 0. Towards that part where AOE was kind of regaining some momentum forward, it was 6 to 0. So we can see here, this was a solid fight, I think, from AOE, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this might be the one where we get the Rakan who comes up behind and gets a spectacular. There it is. We can see some SkyTech come through and get an ultimate on this line, and then the equalizer coming out. So a lot of solid damage. They had a lot of really good fights, but when it came down to it, ISU had the pressure. They had the priority in all of these lanes. They had everything pushed. And again, when you've got 9 towers to 0 at the end of the game, you can only do so much when you're successful with a fight. If those objectives are going heavy-handedly over to one team, there's not much you can do to slim that differential, and it was always in ISU's favor.
ISU wanted to make sure that not a single tower stood by the end of each and every single one of those games. I said before, the property value of Summoner's Rift is far too high, so they're here to do construction and knock some things down, Jolly. So, like you
too
said,
much advertisement.
That's
too many
what I'm saying. Bro. So way too much for an investment, bro. Too many newcomers in all this. They need to make sure that they can equalize the rest across the board. But past all that, right? You saw ISU at some certain points, because they built up such a disgusting early lead. At every single win con they had for the composition was already fighting on all fronts. That I felt like they were kind of just having fun throughout the entire game. They knew what they were doing. They knew they would win, because unfortunately, it was just such a dominant victory that they had. Just shout out to them for honestly doing extremely well, showing up like they do, being previous champions. Right, we did expect a lot out of them, and one person we especially expected a lot out of was War Machine High.
I'm not 100% certain, but we did for have a moment. Instead, Magical was like, "Hold on, wait a second, that's not me," and then comes back. He's like, "All right, I'm here." So clearly, I mean, just very playful players. Like they know. They go in with confidence. They won the first game, so they figured, hey, we can cheese it up even more. Let's do that. So they threw the rumble down in the bottom lane, and that just allowed so much pressure for every single lane. Again, there was really no chance for AOE to catch up, even if they were successful in these fights, because they didn't have pressure anywhere on the map.
Not at all. Now, with that all being said, though, I do want to thank you for coming on as well for the desk today, Jelly. It was an honor and pleasure, and we do hope to see you again. Beatdown Boulevard, of course, as always. It was wonderful having you on with us, right? Great to see you doing happy, healthy, and alive, my friend. And you've certainly gotten a brand new makeup for yourself. Of course, our caster for the night, the Channeling Walk, and Mad Magical, and our production is always the Hypertension, and the one and only Hypertension, and Hey XP for observing. Now, with that, I have been Ravishing Ravish, the most ravishing man on the internet. Y'all stay safe. Take care. Peace. Hyper, you can put it on your head.